Designed, Ben Sims, the tight end, into the end zone for the touchdown.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Mitchell and rattles out. Tap back, it goes to Meyer. They came in and out of the hands of Gorham.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Kickoff from your own 20. Team that scores the 2 points gets it right back, and there goes Ebner. Tristan Ebner in a foot race. Can he do it again? Yes, he can. His second kickoff return for a touchdown tonight. His fourth overall.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Prescott trying to take advantage. Going deep. Cooper. Oh, one-hander. Are you kidding me?
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. To me, the college football season obviously does not start for quite some time, but when I see some of the preseason polls come out, and I know the magazines and websites, and heck, we could even have our own, but when I see one of the preseason polls, whether it's the coaches poll or the Associated Press poll, it kind of hits that it's just around the corner. I am amazed, though. I know how dominant that Nick Saban and Alabama have been. They have owned really the last 10-plus years of college football. I know how Clemson has been. But unless I read this wrong, guys, Paul Catalina to my left, Craig Smoak to my right, Sikkim 365 Radio. Thanks to those of you texting 254-339-1122. That's the number to call. We'll take calls in this first hour, and the text or messages on YouTube 365 Sports. Alabama, did I see this correctly? They got 63 of 65 first-place votes?
Well, why shouldn't they?
Man, I know, and I know they reload, but I mean, it's not like Clemson hasn't been good lately. Oklahoma got the other two. Not Ohio State or that just seems to me, I would vote for them. I would.
I mean, that's the thing is, who else are you voting for? I mean, you voting for Oklahoma when they seem to trip up at the end of the season more often than not. I think Oklahoma's going to be really good. I think they'll be, potentially a playoff team. Obviously that's not some controversial remark. I think most people expect that, and you can see how that's reflected. They're number 3 overall, which I'm sure you'll get to the rest of the teams. But, I mean, you can look at other teams and find warts, and for Alabama, it's like, oh, well, they're replacing this guy and they're replacing this guy. And that might be a concern, except for the fact that they've done that for the last 15 years. Yeah. Now, I will say, if you were replacing simply a starting quarterback on most teams, that would be enough to probably bump you out of the top 5 or maybe just have you a shade lower. They're not only replacing their quarterback in Mac Jones, they're also replacing Najee Harris. They're also replacing countless other bodies who left for the NFL draft. Devontae Smith, obviously. So they're losing their best running back, best quarterback, best wide receiver, and that still has nobody even blinking an eye.
And their other best wide receiver who was hurt last year. By the way, if you look at this, New quarterback for Alabama, new quarterback for Clemson, same quarterback for Oklahoma, new quarterback at Ohio State, I believe a new quarterback at Georgia, a new quarterback at Texas A&M, a new quarterback at Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's the transfer from Wisconsin for Notre Dame, correct?
Yeah.
And then Purdy back for Iowa State. So Oklahoma is at 3, A&M at 6 as far as the Big 12. A&M, of course, I know SEC. Let's see here. Texas at 19. Oklahoma State 22nd, but Iowa State does get some love at number 8 inside the top 10.
Yeah, they do.
And I think they've earned it.
Yeah, they have. And, I mean, that's not a surprise either that they're top 10 to start off. I mean, we'll see how they actually handle those expectations, because expectations aren't something that Iowa State has, grown so accustomed to that it's just old habit at this point. It's still relatively new. Just the thinking that they are, in Big 12 contention the last couple of years, that's been building up, and then now here they are. Everybody comes back. Unfortunately for them, pretty much everybody came back at Oklahoma as well, and you can see why why people would side with the Sooners just based on history. But I mean, I'm sure Matt Campbell's going to have better teams the longer he stays at Iowa State. But like, this really does feel as though it's okay, get it done, or I'm going to not lose faith, but get it done, or I think that's a knock. I mean, and I don't even know if that's the right way to say it, but like, if they don't go out and if they don't at least play in the Big 12 title game, to me, that's a massive disappointment.
Well, you don't want to get a case of the Oregons. And I say that with all due respect to Oregon, but, outside of playing in one national championship game, Oregon was always just right there knocking on the door. Mm-hmm. And so, and even then lost in the national championship game. So you want to be that team that breaks through. For a long time it was Clemson. People were just ragging on Clemson. And then Dabo Swinney has clearly, shredded that to bits. And so Matt Campbell hopes he can do that. But, yeah, you do start to doubt, like, is this the ceiling for what they're doing? Like, what are they doing wrong not to get over the hump?
And I don't think they've done anything wrong to this point, because it's still relatively early. But, this is the best setup that Iowa State has probably ever been, not knowing their entire history. But I would think this has to be one of the most ready and anticipated teams they've ever had, with all the guys that are coming back and with Campbell back. So, yeah, I think at least an appearance in the Big 12 title game should be the expectation. And, Oregon did knock for a little while, but then eventually Oregon was in that conference title game on a regular basis. Eventually they were in that first playoff game. Shoot, they were in the national title game. I mean, Iowa State, they need to finish, at the top of the Big 12 to take that next step, and it seems like they're primed to do that this year. But I know Oklahoma's going to be tough, and I know that there will be some other curveballs along the way, I'm sure.
We'll get to calls. Here are some of the chat room. First of all, thanks to those of you. In fact, Todd Lee, Peanut Butter Hero, Scott Bankel, Scotty B, Todd Lee, Bazoo. I'm glad they're sleeping on Auburn. Gopher fan, Minnesota Gopher fan here. Love the show, guys. Doing great on keeping everyone up to date. And then here's Todd Lee. Alabama's an easy pick for number 1. It's a mini NFL factory, of course, in Tuscaloosa. Are we really that shocked? I'm not shocked they're 1. That 63 of 65 votes to me, maybe that's just me, that, usually a preseason poll can be at least there's a scattered here or one or whatever.
Look, Clemson's quarterback has played a whole lot more than Alabama's has. We haven't seen Bryce Young. I think he threw 9 passes, 11 passes, something like that. And forgive me, chat room, if I'm off by a few, but he's not done that much. DJ Ugalele, he's played quite a bit. I mean, he played in that epic Notre Dame game last year. Trevor Lawrence was out with COVID for a few weeks, so their quarterback played. That's why it kind of surprises me just a little bit that Clemson didn't at least slice into more of those.
By the way, some of the text responses, even some of you who I saw last night texting, and even now the 334, I'm getting more and more SEC fans who are starting to tell us that after the dust has settled, that you don't like the setup, you don't like the expansion, that you're a little bit unsure of it. And it's not, I don't think anyone has said because they're worried about the teams coming in. It's just you kind of like that little comfort zone you had. And so we're starting to get more and more of that. I'm noticing that. And you can tell us why. You can let us know why if you are against the expansion with both Texas and Oklahoma, whenever that might be.
That's a little surprising to me, because it's only beneficial, really. Although, I would be hesitant, just telling the SEC folks out there, don't trust Texas as far as you can throw them. I'll tell you that right now, because if they can get an in somewhere, they will, and they will use whatever power or leverage. Now, that's what's going to be so fascinating is as much as the wins and losses will be for OU and Texas is how they try to throw around their power, if they try to throw around their power, and how that works. I'm very interested in seeing that. We saw A&M attempt to do that, and that got shot down really quick. But the other two aren't used to that necessarily being the case very often. So I am fascinated to see if they just blend in like normal, or if they do, have an A&M moment or two early on and they kind of have to get checked a little bit. And what does that look like? But for the SEC fans that are saying that, I would be highly interested in why you believe that, or why you are now possibly leaning towards not being in favor of this expansion of Oklahoma and Texas. I think as long as it stays there, it's fine. But I think I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong as well, but I would think a lot of people are just more concerned about what the fallout from that move ends up being and how it might wreak havoc across the entire country, as we've heard for the last 2 weeks.
If it gets bigger, like on steroids. Nick Barnett, Texas isn't a big deal here in Birmingham, Alabama. Nick, thanks for your John Kelly. Hey, what's up? A lot of you. Let's go to the calls. 254-339-1122.
I think it'll be interesting to also see how many people are fans of a conference and a league and a region, as are fans like the three of us of just college football in general. Well, yeah, we have our favorite teams, but we like college football.
Right.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I have my favorite team, as frustrating as they have been the last decade or so, but I still love college football. And maybe I'll learn, no matter what we have in the year 2, 3, or 4, to like it even more.
Steve in Beaverton, Oregon. You're on Sikkim 365 Radio on the BetUS caller line. Thanks for your call.
Hey, guys. I was wanting to see if you guys had a chance to read the report from Max Olson from The Athletic. It was talking about Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor, all talking every day and working closely with Oklahoma State as well in talks, about a potential move to form a Pac-16. Apparently, they have expressed optimism that they think a package such as that could present itself, here in the future. And I do think having a few Texas teams would be awesome for the impact that would have on the Pac-16 network in Texas and selling subscriptions or streaming to all of the population centers in Texas. So just wanted to, and I think it's a good way for TCU and Baylor to kind of piggyback and makes the politics easy from a state level. The other thing I think it would do is kind of set up a 4x16 Power 4 of 16-team super conferences, where every team can go, to the NCAA big dance every year. And if you have 64 teams in that Premier League, it also sets up a lower division of the G5 of 64 teams, so they can have their own championship and follow a similar model. Or, sometime down the road, if they wanted to do relegation, you could have perhaps like the lowest 4 out of the 64 and the highest 4 from the G5. Wanted to know your guys' thoughts, especially on that foursome, and if that would be a great group for a potential Pac-16.
All right, first of all, Max Olson is going to join us today at 4 from theathletic.com on the article that he wrote, among other things as well, college football. So thanks for bringing that up. He'll be on with us today at 4. Other than also what he said about adding, of course, the 16 times 4 and the models or whatever.
Yeah, on the group of 4 that, Max was talking about, I think it makes plenty of sense for them. I mean, clearly, they're looking for a home, and the Big 12 is still home, but there's like a hole in the roof, and there's a lot of rain outside. And so I don't know if they feel like they can patch that up. I mean, I think that's the first thing that we got to think about with all these Big 12 teams. it's good for one that there at least is a little bit of a union of sorts. I mean, I think that's positive. I think Baylor and TCU are very smart to work together, and I think Tech actually being with those guys makes a lot of sense as well, because the Texas footprint of those individual schools might not be great, but you do cover west to east of the entire large state of Texas, from Lubbock to Waco to Fort Worth. I mean, that is a little bit of an imprint in Texas, so that would make sense. And then Oklahoma State, obviously, bringing you that Sooner State factor. But first things first for the Pac-12, they got to keep USC happy. They don't want a Texas-Oklahoma situation where USC gets on the phone with Oregon and gets on the phone with, a couple of others. Washington would be one of those. And they go, you know what, this thing's just not, like, we would be better off just thick of the night going to the Big Ten or something. Like, they got to make sure USC is happy, because USC is the Pac-12's Texas. That's first things first. I'm all in favor of that Pac-12 move of those Texas schools, though, if that were to be a possibility. I'm not sure where that would leave the other four, but it's kind of every man for himself anyways. So, I like that idea. But it's all about keeping USC happy for the Pac-12 to really keep their stronghold in any negotiations or bright future outlook, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd be for that if that's what the option is, and especially if it's keeping USC in. And the California schools, you wonder how in lockstep they are together. If at least two of them are out, especially if it's two schools from Southern California, if it's USC and UCLA that just decide to go together, and then you lose that Southern California draw of that conference, which is the second largest media market or whatever it is in the country, depending on how many people multiply in each city every year. But I mean, you lose that media market and that hold in California. Well, then you maybe wonder about it. But I like it. I as far as the relegation, the European soccer model goes, I don't know if that's where they're headed, but the SEC looks like they're trying to do the very poorly executed European. Was it the Super League,
Yeah.
Jack? Was that what it was called? The Super League?
Yeah.
That didn't happen. And the reason that the Super League didn't happen is that the owners all got together and thought, like, man, we're super smart. We should ask the fans. Yeah, it's going to take a long time. Let's not do that. And then the fans are like, no. Yeah. So, you don't want to make those same mistakes.
Some other comments today, and again, 254-339-1122. We're going to get into what we have seen over the last 3 to 4 days with Baylor football. They opened up their camp on Friday. Craig was there. I've been to a few times. Craig wrote an article about a couple of different things over the weekend, and we'll get into that as well. That's in the premium section. You were going to say something? I heard you.
Yeah, I was going to say on Max's article, I mean, he did make mention, we are a Baylor show ultimately down at the roots, and he did make mention that if the Pac-12 were to have to narrow it down even further, let's say they didn't want 4 schools, they wanted only 2 schools, that he feels like Baylor would be in a pretty good spot with that basketball title, even though we know basketball is not the driving force. It's still like, are you going to say no to a team that just won the basketball national title and whose coach isn't going anywhere? No, I think you'd want that in your league probably. And they've proven that so long as there's stability for more than 2 years, they can have a capable football program. It's just that's been really hard to come by for the last decade, is a coach being around for more than 2 or 3 years, or some drama of some sort. But he did say that that they'd have a good shot, or that there would be some interest there. And apparently, if you read the tea leaves and all that, every team's been contacted by somebody or reached out to somebody. So everybody's scrambling. We'll see if this alliance can hold intact. And if so, maybe they, by sticking together, end up in a much better landing spot than had they, tried to go at it at their own. But there's still a lot of questions to be answered.
He will join us at 4. We'll take your questions, comments, text messages, and much more. Bazoo, I don't mind Oklahoma. I just don't want Texas. From Todd Lee, I'm intrigued on what Texas truly thinks, how they'll do in the SEC. In my opinion, they're being used for their value, recruits and eyeballs. Now, see, no one that I know of that's a Texas fan would ever agree with that, because they feel like that's kind of what they bring to the table, but they're doing it because they feel like they can get better recruits too and start winning some of the battles that perhaps they haven't won as much in the last year or two, even this year.
They started to lose some battles to A&M that they probably wouldn't have lost if A&M wasn't in the SEC.
But Ohio State comes in and gets there, and
I'm getting there. Yeah, like they lost some battles to A&M, and then you also had them just being down at this point in time, and they get the Ohio States, and they get the LSUs, and they get the Oklahomas, and they get all these other teams that are starting to poach Texas as well. So they're getting benefits already, because you think they're talking about being in the Big 12 when they're talking to recruits right now? What do you think they're talking about? They're talking about, hey, in a couple of years we're going to be in the SEC, and so why go to College Station? You can come to Austin. We're still going to play the same teams in the same games. So, again, they totally eliminated any advantage that A&M had over them the last several years. It's out the window, totally out the window, as soon as they are officially playing games in the SEC, but they can live off of the hype for at least a year or two, depending on how long this thing drags out. And ultimately they're going to end up there. But I see a lot of Texas fans who are super confident. They think Sarkisian's the right guy finally, and they feel like this is going to give them all the more talent in the world. Not that they didn't already have a ton of it anyways, but now they'll have even more on the level of some of these other teams, and they'll just jump in there and start competing. I'm sure most think that the first year or two might have a few more licks than normal, but I don't see a lot of hesitation on a belief of winning by Texas fans just from those that I've seen.
Also, from Tijuana, Oklahoma and Texas already have more talent than all but maybe 4 teams in the SEC. From David, answer your poll to the man. You have to, if you want to be the man, beat the man. Alabama, yes, should be number 1.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jake does sports. If you had to choose the next team to be the first-time national champion in football, who would it be? So someone who's never won the national title.
Well, my wallet says Baylor.
Iowa State.
No, I don't want to see them win it.
Has North Carolina ever won the NCAA football national title?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Indiana would be awesome. Indiana would be awesome.
It makes me wonder sometimes the teams up in the north and east that may have won some back in the 30s or 40s.
See, I wouldn't want like a name team. Clearly, if I had to pick an answer, I'm saying Baylor because that would be beneficial to all of us sitting at this table. So personally,
and miraculous.
Again, it'd be the best thing that had ever happened here. But I wouldn't mind if I had to see some other team, just somebody who is not necessarily brought up in the conversation on a regular basis, somebody who's a bit more of a surprise, and you're flipping through pages, see Indiana. I know the odds of that are minuscule, but that would be awesome to see as far as a shakeup goes.
All right, so a couple of other things to get here. Let's see here. From Robert, Auburn has had to deal with Gus Malzahn for a decade. That's enough to ruin any program. Rick H., it's not hurting A&M that Texas is coming. They just did win a head-to-head battle for the safety in Bryce Anderson.
Right, okay. So, yes, they did, and they will still win some head-to-head battles. My point is that the A&M program used to be able to say, hey, we're in the SEC. Why go to UT? You're going to play those lame Big 12 teams? So that's what I'm saying is they, in recruiting, had a different pitch because they had a different set of circumstances. Now, are you going to go tell a kid who's picking between Oklahoma and Texas anything about the SEC? You can't because you're both in it. Yeah. So what was an automatic advantage, because regardless of if a kid grew up in Big 12 country or Pac-12 country or Big 10 country, we know what it means when you say the SEC, and we know how that's promoted and how that's viewed. And so that's out the window. A&M still, I don't think it's going to hurt A&M in the long run. They might miss out on a couple more players that they normally wouldn't have, but I mean, it is going to have an effect.
Well, it's always still about the coach and their staff and the way that they recruit. But that thing that they've been saying that the staff now has to come up with a new hook.
Right, yeah.
Why are you better? Well, yeah, they have plenty. Why are you better than Texas? And the SEC was an easy one to get.
Yes.
Because you're also, and here's the thing, sometimes going for the easy one is the best way in because you're talking to 16-year-old kids.
Right.
You don't want to get in the weeds. You just ask them, what do you think is better, the SEC or the Big 12? The SEC, guess what?
Yeah. We're going to be a part of it. We already are in a way. Let's go to some text as well from the very beginning of the show. Hey, it's Chris here, University of Houston student, and he mentions, how about Penn State, Notre Dame, Michigan jumping? They're not moving. Michigan is not leaving the Big Ten. Penn State is not leaving the Big Ten. And if they were to leave, it would be a part of some super conference structure, whatever that would be, Premier League. And Notre Dame, I read a lot about them. I know we had a guest on. I wasn't here Friday, but we had a guest on. Notre Dame is not making as much money as some of the conference schools per year. Their NBC deals like $15 million a year. It's kind of like their Longhorn Network. But they love the independency. They love the independent nature. They love to be able to play in Chicago, New York, and Philadelphia in the same year. They love to control their non-conference schedule, which most years is really good. Now, there's sometimes it seems like teams are down, but they want to keep playing Stanford. They want to play Navy. I know you can, but it's a tradition. And I know college football's losing a lot of the tradition. They want to play USC or Michigan, and I know that's not every year, but they want those games.
But remember, also they have $15 million from NBC, and they also play 4 games a year against the ACC, so they get money kicked back.
And they get part of that,
which I would think is probably what, $5-6 million.
Yeah, I think it was $7 million maybe last year. And also what they do get is a kickback in the college football playoff pie,
and they don't
even though they're not a part of a conference.
They don't have to share anything.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't have to share anything. They don't have to split revenues with teams because they're not a part of the conference. I don't know how it works like in basketball and stuff. I'm sure they have to split a little there. But like ultimately, yeah, you're your own boss is basically what Notre Dame is. And I don't know anybody out there who's running a successful company where you're raking in hundreds of millions every year and you're like, you know what? This is all working well and we're pretty unbeatable just, overall as an institution. We should put someone else in charge who doesn't have our best interest at heart. No, I don't think you want to do that. So if you're big enough and you're bad enough and you're that large of a brand that you can pull that off, there's a lot to be said for independence, and not many can pull it off, but Notre Dame's certainly like the bell cow of that. So I don't see any motivation for them to have to make a move until ultimately, like so many dominoes have fallen, that they're just looking around and they just, oh, God, we're by ourselves all of a sudden. That would cause a move. Outside of that, I just don't know, again, what their motivation would be because they've already got a sweet deal with the ACC to have those games. So then you go pick the rest of them as you want. I mean, if anybody else could pull that off, if Texas, I think, really felt they could pull that off, or if the SEC was an enticement, we've heard the rumors about them playing with that idea before. And I don't know, maybe they could pull it off, but not many could.
Here's one thing they love as well, and I read on, this is something was from a guest we'll have on down the road. They have such a unique melting pot on campus. Not that others don't, but the Notre Dame, how they're made up, how the different type of backgrounds and
diversity.
The diversity is incredible on that campus. And so for them, the Catholic-based religion of where they are, they can play anywhere and have a lot of people show up. They kind of like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one of the things, like Brigham Young. They have the same thing. It's just they're not thought of as Notre Dame, even though they've had a pretty good tradition in football as well.
The worst team, at least name-wise, on their schedule this year is Toledo. I mean, this is a built-for-television schedule in an era where they're going to have to renegotiate deals. Look, tell me you wouldn't want to see Notre Dame, and I know that some of these teams are bad, but just name recognition. FSU, Purdue, Wisconsin, Cincinnati, Va-Tech, USC, North Carolina, Navy, Virginia, Georgia Tech, Stanford.
And they could lose 5 of those games. They could lose 5. I'm not even looking at who they were.
Better schedule than anybody in the Big 12.
Yeah. They could. And I know, and again, remember, I know that they've beaten Navy probably 80 out of 90 times, or 80 out, I don't know how many, but on occasion, it's no different than playing Kansas State or Iowa State or someone like that has a pretty good year.
Don't get stuck on Navy. Navy's fine. I'm just saying
it's a traditional game that they never want to lose.
Right.
Notre Dame and Navy means a lot to Notre Dame and Navy. And it obviously means a lot to Navy, even if they're getting their brains beat in quite a bit.
Yeah. Let's go to Steve in Arlington. You're on the BetUS caller line on Sikkim 365 Radio. Thanks for your call, Steve.
Hey, thanks, guys. Quick question. Don't y'all think for schools like Baylor, our football program, don't you think it's got like 2 years where it needs to really make a big jump, in reference to when the way it's been the last few years, or we might really be in trouble when the dominoes start falling?
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. It's like a must-have 2 good years, but I do think that it can't hurt. I mean, it cannot hurt for them to be noticeably better this year and fun to watch?
Hey, you talking about Baylor?
Yeah.
I think that they're on the right track. I think that they have a good amount of talent. I think, obviously that quarterback question needs to be answered sooner rather than later, which they're in the process of figuring out. But no, I think I don't think that like this is a make or break year and that they got to win 7 games and go bowling for them to last as a program or last amongst the conferences, the power conferences. But, I mean, they do need to be mindful of it. You can't just rest on basketball's laurels and think that, football's not going to matter in the big equation. And you certainly would rather be in a position like Iowa State is right now than be in a position like Baylor is in right now, just for the sake of your argument and the strength of your athletic department. But, I don't have a concern that if they go 6-6 or something this year, that all of a sudden, they're not going to find a home in the Big 12 moving forward, however that looks, or elsewhere. But it is an important year. I mean, if Dave Aranda goes out and only wins like 4 games, then I think that you have to start questioning what's going on, because last year is a free year, basically. You get a little bit of a mulligan, but now they've had the full offseason. They made coaching changes. He can't go into another offseason and then just wipe out the offensive staff, because then he's going to look like he has no idea what he's doing. So what is critical this year is to actually look like you know what you're doing on offense. Hopefully the defense just keeps improving. I mean, it was solid last year, but it could be a lot better. And you just go out there and you win as many as you can, and you make some progress. And as long as there's some progress and some steps forward and a light at the end of the tunnel, then I think people will remain believers. But, if you go and you stumble and you look out of whack on offense again, or you make people have to watch that effort for 12 weeks this time around, there's going to be a lot of calls for Dave Aranda's head. And I would say if they're struggling like that, which I do not expect at all, it would be fair to start questioning things. So, yeah, it's going to be an important season from that regard.
From our Rick H., Jimbo Fisher is an elite recruiter. He did it at Florida State with an old broken stadium, outdated facilities. Big 12, A&M, SEC, A&M are not the same. I don't think anyone has ever disagreed with that.
I think A&M fans are like taking this a little too personal.
Yeah.
That comment, because it wasn't intended as personal. Just saying that what you had as a sales pitch that was different is now the same sales pitch as your biggest rival. That's all we're saying.
And it wasn't working as well when Kevin Sumlin was making it, and which is why
guess what?
They brought in Jimbo Fisher, who can make it better.
Guess what? Texas still recruits well without it. Yeah. They'll probably recruit better with it. Now, they can only move up like 2 more spots from where they are typically, and no one's saying A&M's not going to be like good or they're going to have like more losses or anything like that. I'm just saying that one advantage that you had is now no longer an advantage. That's it. It's not a knock on A&M. Calm down.
All right, coming up next, 3:30, we'll have Max Olson today at 4. Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor. We're expecting him at 4:20 or so. We'll have Cowboys writer David Hellman at 5 as they're back at Oxnard. And I've never seen so much video of a guy throwing toss with a football for 8 to 10 or 12 yards. But that's where we are with Dak, because he hadn't thrown in quite some time, and the season starts in less than 30 days. Also, John McClain, Hall of Fame writer, looking back at the massive clump, the large chunk of those inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 254-339-1122. This is David Smoak and Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak. And behind the scenes today, Hayden, A-Rob, Armstrong, and Jack, Sikkim, 365 Radio. Impact Research Institute excels at patient-centered, cutting-edge clinical trial, world-class research studies with personal touch with over 2 decades of research experience. They opened up their offices about 2 weeks ago in Waco to raise awareness on the conditions that increase the risk of non-alcohol fatty liver disease, such as diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. And when detecting a potential problem, Impact Research and Dr. Gunn can extend effective care and treatment options. Under the leadership of Dr. Gunn, a gastroenterologist, hepatologist who focuses mainly on finding therapies for liver-related illnesses. And by the way, I had an MRI to kind of go through the process. It was so easy. Maybe took 10, 15 minutes, like a little thump in the side, like a pulse. And then I got Dr. Gunn, who called me and said everything was clear. And I expected everything to be clear, but you never know. And that's why they are here. Impact Research Institute will get You liver health screenings performed quickly and at no cost. And Ideal MRI, one of our title sponsors, is where you can get that screening, and they'll help as well with Impact Research Institute, plus direct counseling, physician or licensed provider, opportunity to participate in clinical trial with compensation if you qualify, and sophisticated diagnostic imaging assessments at no charge. It's Impact Research Institute just off Fish Pond Road at ImpactResearchTX.com.
Since its inception, Pickup Outfitters has remained politically neutral. We love trucks of every persuasion, not just red and blue ones. But people keep asking us where we stand, and for this one time, we're going to break our neutrality. We oppose any government intervention or legislation to end truck nudity. We believe in the American right to drive nude vehicles. We think it's disgusting. We fight it every place we can, and we want to end it, but we want to end it the right way, peaceably. Therefore, we call on Congress and President Biden to respect the rights of truck owners. Our founding fathers didn't own a truck, but if they did, I bet they would have put a bed cover and running boards on their truck. The right to keep and bear your truck the way you want is fundamental to the fabric of this nation, and we believe in that right. So we urge you to come and take it at Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Erie Drive in Waco. On the web at createacommotion.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Life is back on, sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up for their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BETUS. BetUS for 125% bonuses with promo code SICK'EM125. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'EM125.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Erie Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sick'em 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching Sick'em 365 on YouTube.
All right, here we go. 254-339-1122. That line is open. The text line, the 360. Man, I wish I had a show half as good as yours for my Washington Huskies. Thank you. Appreciate that. He also brought this up. How did they rank Louisiana 23rd, Coastal Carolina 24th, but leave out Utah, Auburn, Brigham Young, TCU, and Michigan? I think there's a lot of leeriness over Michigan. Is that a word, Paul?
It is now.
I think people are a little bit leery of Michigan. There's a few that maybe even have a little bit of that when it comes to Texas, but they're always going to get into the top 20 or 25, and they're 19 this year. I think a lot of it's because their logo.
Michigan almost got Harbaugh fired last year.
Yeah, and Utah, I don't know. I'd love for them to be good with Charlie Brewer at quarterback. I think TCU's been up and down, although at times they're very good. I thought this year TCU might get a little love, a little bit inside the top 25, but I think people want to watch what they do early. And Brigham Young's up, and they're steady. But Louisiana's pretty good. They beat Iowa State, and they do have Texas, so we're going to learn about both of them pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, Michigan, that's who we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were 2-4 last year. You can say, what you want about that record because, again, last year was just so strange. You know what I mean? So the 2-4 might not be at all indicative of really the talent level and what they have, but man, I don't know. I'm kind of wondering for Michigan if, the days of those 10 wins kind of being just old hat. Like, I mean, when he first arrived, it was just 10 wins, and he just could not beat Ohio State. But now it's not even 10 wins. It's more like 8-9, hope to get to 10, and you're still not beating Ohio State. So I think, when you look at Michigan, people are probably looking a little bit at last year. The defense obviously taking steps back. And that offense has kind of been hit or miss as well over Harbaugh's time there. So I don't have a great idea of like everybody they have talent-wise, but I know Michigan obviously has a lot of talent. It'd be very interesting, like if Alan Bowman's there right now from Texas Tech, right? So if he's a starting quarterback, well, I think that kind of explains their ranking maybe a little as well, based on his time at Tech. He's a little erratic. But I just think, I just think that people have those general questions about Michigan. Is the defense going to be as good? Was last year, an anomaly, or was it more of an indication that this thing's going backwards and not going forwards as hot as it started? Certainly the talk around Harbaugh has cooled immensely, to Paul's point about, the talk about him last year. So there's some uncertainty there, and I think that probably plays into people's minds as well.
TCU minus Sonny. I'm sorry, Craig. I thought you.
No, just in the long run, I think is what I was going to say.
TCU could be really good this year. They got the quarterback, Duggan. I like him. Hopefully he's consistent. That's part of what he has to do better, and others as well. And I think they have a lot back. And they can be tough. We know what they've done to some of the teams. They've given Oklahoma hell at times. We know what they've done with Texas, winning 7 of 9. But I don't know yet. Let's see. Again, it's just the preseason poll. Most of that is usually, okay, where are the brand names? But this year there's a few others. Indiana, who's earned a little bit of that, right?
Yeah.
Coastal Carolina. I love it. Someone mentioned University of Lafayette. Louisiana, excuse me. I love it. I love the fact that there's a few outside the box, inside that top 25.
We got to take a call, but to TCU, I think if Max Duggan can, woo-saw a little bit, just calm down. The problem is if you're high-strung and your head coach is also the most high-strung guy in the history of high-strung dudes, and that includes Tom Herman and Gary Patterson, sometimes that's it. You cannot stop it. When everybody's tense in a room, even if one person is calm, sometimes it's too much. So both coach and quarterback need to maybe be a little bit chill.
Yeah, I think TCU is going to be good. I think Duggan will be improved, or should be. I mean, everybody should be improved from last year, quite frankly. But for him, I mean, he has shown flashes of being a really capable quarterback in the Big 12. He hasn't just necessarily strung it all together and done it week after week after week. But if he can do that this year, then they're going to be really good, in my opinion. They've got the skill guys, Quentin Johnson, Zach Evans, and plenty of others, so that's not a concern. And defensively, they're always solid. I mean, they're always, even down defenses at TCU are still going to be more solid than most defenses around the country. Their down years are still better than most average years. So, it's all about Duggan for me. If he can be a stronger, better, sharper, less turnover-prone quarterback, more consistent, then I think they've got a lot in store for those in Fort Worth.
Utah with Brewer. Oh, go ahead, Paul. Utah with Brewer is 8-1-7. Utah with Brewer, definitely a sleeper in the Pac-12. Love to see an Alamo Bowl matchup with them and Baylor. Oh, my God. Can you imagine? That means Baylor went. That's good news for Utah should be a bowl team. For Baylor, that would be good news that they're back in the bowl game.
I'm sure Charlie would love that, no doubt. And I'm sure some of those Baylor defensive players would probably love that too, get a shot at their old quarterback. But, yeah, Brewer to me is one of the – I've said this a few times now. He is one of the wild cards of college football, in my opinion, this season, because I truly don't know what to expect. I know what I've seen from Charlie the last 4 years, and at his best, he can be pretty good. But there are just so many times you're watching him, and you're like, does he realize he's playing a football game on national television right now? And then he wakes up, like, early fourth quarter or mid fourth quarter, and then you're like, okay, yeah, he's absolutely playing his butt off, but – there are just times, man, where he just is checked out, and that could be from all the hits or what. But I expect Utah to provide some protection for him, and I think that it's going to be really interesting to see what he does. And if he has a good year, then absolutely the Utes are a team to watch.
All right, let's see. From Bazoo, Utah added a lot of talent through the portal as well. I have Utah winning the Pac-12, and they are at times in that neighborhood. It'll be interesting. USC getting a lot of love with their quarterback, and the fact it's another year. And another year with Graham Harrell as the offensive coordinator. We know Oregon's in the mix among some others as well.
I can't help but cringe sometimes when I think of Utah, though, and maybe cringe in the right word. But, man, rest in peace, Ty Jordan. That was such a tragedy last year. Lord, I do stuff with the Earl Campbell Award, and so Ty was from Texas, and so I had an eye on him and was watching him and looking at his stats every week and watching Utah. And, man, he got off to such a good start, and just a really unfortunate accident took his life, and that one stings. He would have been great this year.
When we come back, another break, and then we'll have another segment. Your text, your chat room comments, and calls at 254-339-1122. We love all of your feedback, even when we agree to disagree. And also, Max Olson, theathletic.com, his column and his thoughts about college football coming up at 4. And this is Sikkim 365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home: Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, and Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions, here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person, or use their online and mobile apps, and convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. And they've got stuff like instant issue debit cards. You lose your debit card or it's security compromised. With their Secure Lock Equip, you can lock it right away and get rid of it. Believe me, they'll know it. Boom, you'll know exactly when it gets compromised. Go to the bank, immediate activation, access to funds with their emergency card replacement. You can do it in the drive-thru even if you are really pressed for time. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
Make this the summer sales event is going on now at Allen Samuels with the all-new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. Now arriving and in stock. This beautiful, rugged third-row seat carries the prestigious Jeep heritage. The 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo or Limited. You pick. Have total values of $2,750 or 0% for 48 months, plus $1,000 in bonus cash. Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Text from the 217, Big Ten fan here. One of the most impressive things to me about Alabama's run under Saban is how they've dealt with the constant turnover at the coordinator level over the years, consistently losing top-level assistants to head coaching jobs elsewhere for good reason, not because they're moving on. And for whatever reason, Saban's replacement hires have tended to take Alabama to a different level each time. Impressive how they continue to reinvent themselves, and that says quite a bit about the system, the culture, Nick Saban. And obviously, if you're a coordinator, some of them are bouncing back from what have been tough times or disappointments, and that has given them a little chance to kind of up their resume as well.
Yeah, to me, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Clemson, because they've been on a similar run, not as good as Alabama, obviously, but he hasn't had to do it yet, Dabo Swinney. He still has Tony Elliott, and he still has Brent Venables. Tony Elliott will be a head coach next season, I think. I think that's about for him. Brent Venables has had a couple shots.
Well, why not Elliott last season? Or
I think because of the shortened year.
Okay.
I mean, they just
okay.
Okay. And then again, they bumped up his money too. So, but when the right job comes open for Tony Elliott, he's going to get a job. Let's go to Alex in Oklahoma. You're on the BetUS caller line. Thanks for your call.
Hey guys, so I kind of agree with placing, like the Chanticleers and Louisiana in the polls, because it's finally giving the smaller schools a little bit of respect, because, they both had, pretty outrageous seasons. Now, whether or not they're beat is something that, we don't know of yet. But, finally, after hearing the UCF chants for so long, they were finally giving them a little bit of respect.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good. I think if you're a top 25 worthy team, that it doesn't matter what your name is or where you're located. You should just be in the top 25. And it really ticks me off to a very minor extent, because at the end of the day, it's just a college football poll. Mm-hmm. But I can write on my calendar right now the day that I'll be a little peeved off next season. It's when this poll will drop again, and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, of course that team's higher than they should be. Why? Because of name brand value. So there's teams that definitely get bumps because of that, but there should absolutely be no demotions because of that. And it is harder for those teams to work their way in. And, the preseason poll does matter. Like, it does matter. It sets the table. It puts you in the lanes that you're driving in to start off the race. So you can start outside the top 25 and start the race a little bit later and still maneuver your way into a position of strength. But you got to ask for a few cars to wreck along the way. You got to ask to basically speed by every single person and never have to take a pit stop. You got to ask for a lot. So, as silly as it is, like, oh, well, this team's number 11 to start off with, whatever, doesn't matter, not a big deal. It does matter because they're already positioned at number 11, and all they got to do is win games, and they're set. Whereas other schools, they start out outside of it, and they literally have to win every game to have even a chance to get into the top 25, much less then make a massive jump. So, as silly as it is, I do hope voters take it seriously, and I don't know that they always do. I don't know that maybe all of them have enough of knowledge, and that's why you just see like a placeholder team in there at like 24 every single year. It's we got 2 spots left. Who should we put in there? Let's put Texas in there, just because. I mean, we've seen that happen before, definitely, or another big name brand team. So I'm glad to see those small schools. Yeah, give them a little bit to chew on, give them a little bit to get excited about.
254-339-1122, the number to call. Mike George just tweeted us, texted us. Said that, golly, it's when this text line, the way it sets up. Baylor has been to 25 bowl games. That is more than the following programs. And I don't know if there's too many on there. That's interesting. It's been more than Mississippi State's got 24. Kansas State, 22. Well, Kansas State was irrelevant, awful, and what Bill Snyder did is the most miraculous turnaround ever. And he almost did it twice.
Most of those have been since Bill Snyder set foot there. So.
I agree with you guys, but what program are we also talking about? Talk about irrelevant and didn't matter and bottom of the barrel for like a couple decades. That was Baylor football.
Basically 17 years, no bowl game.
I'm not saying it's Bill Snyder level what Art Briles did, but Baylor is not without their history, to your point. They've been in some bowl games. They've won some conference titles, including 2 in the Big 12, which half the league can't say they've even won 1. I think that the small stature, the Baptist influence is certainly a hindrance on any potential conference outlooks moving forward. Like the Pac-12 just seems like a total no-go to me because of the whole religion thing. But outside of that, I do think that among the 8, even though they might be smaller than Iowa State or Texas Tech or not have as big of an alumni base, if you're looking for success in sports, you're looking for somebody who's going to pony up money and who's going to be, staying ahead of the curve or at the top of the curve. You can guarantee Baylor's going to do that. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to see them have a big rebound in football this year. It'll be tough, but I think they're primed for at least a bounce back.
From the 405 from Todd Lee in Oklahoma City, thoughts about Houston, UCF, and mentioned Cincinnati, Memphis. I've already put on, if the Big 12 survives, and if they do add 2 or 4 teams, I've made my 4, and I have no idea who they're talking to, if anybody. UCF, Memphis, Cincinnati, and Brigham Young. Now, they may not get any of those 4, and we don't even know if those 4 would want to be a part of it. But those are the 4 that I've thrown out there that I think at least could bring a little bit of zip and still maybe not enough to make a difference when it comes to any kind of network deal for a conference TV deal. Now,
I certainly don't think it would hurt to have TVs in Florida and Ohio, and
there you go. That's what I picked it for. Yeah.
Cincinnati and UCF would be great for West Virginia. To have them close by. I think all 4 of those would be fantastic. You'd spread out west, you'd spread out east. You wouldn't quite go from West Coast to East Coast, but you'd be pretty damn close there in Utah. There in Provo with BYU. But yeah, do the Cougars want to do that? They all say that, and the fans say that they want to join a conference, and yet we have no actual proof from the school itself that they would be interested in that per se, or at least now. But I like that group of 4. I don't know how much money that would add or if it would be worth the effort to bring them in, but I like that option a lot better than just taking the 4 Big 12 school or the 8 Big 12 schools and flipping them over to the AAC. I do prefer the Big 12 doing the poaching if at all possible.
All right, when we come back, Max Olson, theathletic.com, he wrote an article about that Pac-12 and Big 12. I called it a powwow that went like 6 hours, and some of the whatever may have come out of that, plus just looking at some ideas and scenarios. Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, expected at about 4:20, waiting for confirmation on the exact time. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They got a lot of great deals going on now at Richard Carr. got the summer savings event in full force, and that means they've got a lot of great deals going on right now with not only new but also used cars and trucks as well, a wide variety of those. But let's start off with the Cadillacs with their responsive power, advanced technology, and exceptional agility. The new Cadillacs will bring a smile to your face on every drive, and at Richard Carr Cadillac, they will find the right caddy for you, whether it's a smooth and powerful CT4 sedan starting at only $33,395 or the XT4, XT5, or XT6 lineup of SUVs in the style and size to fit your lifestyle. You get back on the road as well with the space, safety, and luxury of a Buick. Right now, well-qualified buyers get 0% financing for 72 months on most 2021 Buick SUVs. And Richard Carr is also loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks, all of them going through a 172-point inspection before hitting the lot. With dozens of lenders, Richard Carr says yes when others say no, and 100% credit approval is always their goal. And they're also, for those here in the greater Waco area, your local hometown dealerships, so give them a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. You can come by the dealership and take a test drive, or give them a call, send them an email, and they can set up a test drive that they will bring to you. It's a summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr. They are owned, operated, and run by loyal and proud Baylor Bears.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long-distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. Hi, Mark Stewart here with Bird Colgin Ford. Score big with Midway Football and Ford Trucks. It's time to catch football fever and find the perfect Ford truck for your next tailgating party. The Ford F-150 has been America's #1 selling truck for 44 years, and Bird Colgin Ford has the perfect truck for you to drive to your next football game. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the many truck choices at Bird Colgin Ford. Visit us anytime at bkford.com, making buying your next Ford simple at BK Ford.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental. Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects. With 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Rattler, bootleg action. Now in trouble again. Defensive call. Yeah. There he is. 3 in the corner. Touchdown. Theo Weiss. That's Rattler doing Rattler-like things.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, this 4 o'clock hour, Max Olson, theathletic.com. He has been a part of a go-to college football writer with us for a long, long time, and he was actually, he bugged the room where the 2 commissioners from the Pac-12 and the Big 12, or whatever's left of them, were having their powwow last week. Max, thank you. I sent you a text last week. I sent a text. I said, hey, can you what have you heard? And you go, I'm working on it. And then you blow out a story, of course. And so let's talk about that. Was this just hello? Bob Bowlesby's been around a while, used to be a part of the Pac-12. Was this kind of just to get to know each other, or more than that, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that the feedback I got from people trying to, based on the feedback they got from Bowlesby and others about the meeting, first of all, like, these guys just don't really know each other. George Kliavkoff is not a guy that's been in this whole college athletics industry up until the past couple months, and so you're not going to jump into some conference saving partnership just on one day of knowing each other, right? So this is a long term play here. I think on both sides of it, where these are 2 men that I think look at their conference, look at, obviously the Big 12 is in a much more treacherous position when you think about the next 4 years, but the Pac-12 is not, they hired him to fix the Pac-12. There's obviously lots of problems that they need to address, and starting with the revenue gap. And so I think these are 2 guys that are trying to put all the options they possibly have on the table. George Kliavkoff has even said he has 6 options. He hasn't said what those are, but I think he's pretty aggressive and pretty taking this moment seriously of, hey, this is a chance for the Pac-12 to do something bold. And on the Big 12 side, obviously, like, you're going to talk to whoever you can in terms of Power 5 leagues. If there's some sort of arrangement out there that helps you keep this conference together and give your 8 remaining members some financial stability.
Max, is the Pac-12's first mission, though, to make sure that USC is happy with any of those 6 options?
I think so. I think that, you learn the lesson from the Big 12 a little bit of, and obviously, people tried forever to keep Texas and Oklahoma happy, and here's where we got. But I think that's a big part of it for the Pac-12, and I think there's like kind of a shared benefit there of the Big 12 and Pac-12 trying to figure out some logical way to work together. Is, well, what if we find an agreement that not only makes us all money, but then also we protect each other? Because what's stopping the Big Ten from going after the best Pac-12 programs, or what's stopping the SEC from saying we're going to build some 20, 25 team league with the biggest brands in all of the sport? Like, I think you have to play a little offense here, or else you're going to be stuck in defense the whole time,
Max, you talked to an unnamed Big 12 coach. You asked about recruiting and how that's been affected, and that coach said it's killing us right now. It's absolutely no doubt hurting us. With how much pain did he say that in his voice?
Just annoyance, really. Okay. I think there's just annoyance among these coaches. That even this coach said he didn't really care that Oklahoma and Texas were leaving, so it didn't really upset him. Mm-hmm. But it is going to be annoying. I think the thing that, and I'm sure you're I'm sure Baylor fans and your listeners and all that feel this too, is when you sit here and think about, okay, be patient, long-term thing, 2025, all that, it's just uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit here and not have answers on where are we going? What conferences want us? Is the Big 12 staying together? Is it falling apart? It's uncomfortable to have to sit back and be patient and trust that that's all going to get worked out. And in the short term, that, certainly that hurts you. Certainly I imagine for Baylor, and they've done a great job in this cycle. It had a really good summer of recruiting. But if there's a school that wants to poach some Baylor commits, the messaging is pretty easy. You would say, hey, don't go there. If this thing doesn't shake out right, they're going to be in a group of 5 league. And that, for kids and their parents, when you can't give them, really strong answers on here's what the future is, then that does put a little doubt in their head. So I think that recruiting problem is going to exist here for the next couple of years until we have a real clear sense of what the Big 12 is going to look like.
I don't know who wrote this, but I saw a note. Matt Campbell said, "Listen, we just got to worry about ourselves," which is easier said than done. I'm sure he keeps his ear to the ground or his eyeballs on what's happening with the landscape, but that no matter what, we're going to be a Power 5. We're going to win, and we're going to be a Power 5 program. Is it as easy as that?
I think that's and Chris Kleiman said the same thing, that wherever we end up, we'll be a Power 5 program. I think that's what you got to tell your players, because this is obviously just hitting at a bad time. At the start of camp here, you're trying to get them locked in. You're trying to make some of the most significant improvement with your team here over these next few weeks. And so, in the case of Iowa State, obviously, everything was fantastic at Iowa State a month ago, and now there's obviously this fear and uncertainty and all that. You have to try and get your team to just lock in and say, hey, we can still be exactly as good as we want to be this year. But we got to block that stuff out. And I know that's something Matt Campbell's been sensitive to, that he feels like this year is going to be a lot tougher for them than last year was, even when you're dealing with COVID last year, because, just the expectations and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm sure that there's, maybe today's players, the juniors and seniors, they're like, yeah, this isn't really going to affect me. But you still have to get your team to kind of lock in here and kind of block this stuff out.
Max, you mentioned Mack Rhoades in the article, and that he said that the 3 Texas teams have to stay together. That is a relatively new Big 12 sentiment, that those teams have to stay together. Do you think that they are best as a package deal no matter where they go?
I think that it depends on if the Pac-12 actually believes that there is value in playing your flag in Texas. And obviously in all this stuff, value is kind of, it's hard to nail down what exactly that means. Does that actually mean, your TV ratings and stuff like that? Is it the way that the presidents of those conferences see you in terms of your stature and all that kind of stuff? But I think that this is true of the 8, but I think it's also true of these three schools, and potentially you put Oklahoma State in that group because of their football success. We have more value together than we do separately, and I think that's clearly been the response from these conferences. They're not rushing in to just go snatch up one member of the Big 12, and so I think it makes sense to cooperate among those 3 schools, because maybe somebody else has a little better luck finding something and can bring you with them. I think that's, we'll see. If the Pac-12 decides we only want to take 2 schools, then look, no one's looking out for Baylor then. You know what I mean? Like that, it's every man for himself then, if that's the case. But right now, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to share information and try to work together to put some more options on the table for themselves, because that's the job these ADs have to do. They have to see what's out there, and they can't just kind of sit here patiently waiting for Bob Bowlesby to figure out what their fate is.
Max, I was just alarmed at looking at the graphic you had about the draft picks from the last 5 years. Okay, first of all, the Big 12 has 2 less teams than everybody else. But even then, they're so far behind in draft picks. What do you chalk that up to ultimately? Because it's been alarming to see year after year. We think there's this great crop of players, and then when it comes draft time, everybody else seems to cash in. And outside of 2 or 3, big name guys, the Big 12 just kind of weekly goes by through the draft. It used to be the offenses, right? But what is it at this point, do you think, that is such a knock in the NFL's eyes towards Big 12 players?
Yeah, so the chart you're talking about, I appreciate you bringing it up, is, basically you take the Big 12 without Texas and Oklahoma over these last 5 years, and those 8 programs are averaging a combined like 12 draft picks a year. And so obviously, there's perception in that too. Obviously, like a lot of SEC players get drafted because, these GMs assume that SEC guys are more ready to play right away and all that stuff. And the weird thing is you still do see like a lot of Big 12 players, go undrafted and make it in the league. And so clearly like there's a perception piece of that maybe some of these players end up being a little underrated, or maybe there's not enough NFL respect for the ball they play in the Big 12 in the past or whatever. But it doesn't all go back to recruiting because obviously a lot of these programs are taking, like TCU and Baylor are taking 3-star guys and turning them into NFL players. But I think that's kind of the challenge here is among these 8 members. I mean, is it going to be harder to bring kind of those 4-star, 5-star players, keep them home or bring them into your program in that future Big 12? And I think that stuff is definitely going to correlate to the draft.
Do you feel like now that practices have begun, and even though there's some smoldering on occasion, a report here and there that, of course, a lot of it is just throwing stuff against the wall that might stick. I'm not talking about, things that are explaining scenarios. But do you feel like realignment will just simmer now? Or do you feel like there's going to be every once in a while a volcanic eruption?
Everyone I talk to, around the Big 12, they're still preaching patience. They're, that look, Texas and Oklahoma are not leaving soon, and we've just got to deal with this. And we got that it will simmer down. This stuff will kind of go below the surface again, and there'll probably be a lot more meetings this fall, among ADs and among commissioners and all that. So yeah, I do think it's possible this stuff will settle down a little bit. It's like there's one of these conferences that TV deal is up next year. So I think there's a little bit of a runway with this, but that's where that's where it kind of is going to become challenging. Are people willing to sit back and trust that this will play out the right way and that they're going to have either a good destination or the conference will stay together? Or do you have some folks who just say, no, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of the uncertainty and not knowing, and we need to force the issue and be proactive here. And so that's going to be the hard thing is I don't expect everybody to just say, yeah, let's talk about this next year. I think there's going to be some schools and leaders and stuff trying to force the issue, and we'll see if these conferences are willing to make a move or what kind of timetable the Big 12 wants to have if, for example, they want to look into expansion.
I don't know, Max. I don't think West Virginia fans can have much more patience. They are on an island, aren't they? The West Virginia fan base. I mean, they're in the Big 12, and they don't really, as you point out in the article, like if that's their only option, that's their only option. But trying to wish into existence an ACC inviter or whatever, I feel for them in a way because geographically it's never really made sense to the Big 12. But this has just thrown their position, for another loop, right?
Yeah, West Virginia's got kind of a fascinating history with this. They've been in a bunch of conferences over the years, and there have been times in the past when they wanted to get in the ACC and couldn't. When it was clear the Big East was going to fall apart, their president, he went to the ACC. The ACC said no. He drove to Chicago and asked the Big Ten, and the Big Ten said no. And so, yeah, they have this history of going through this. And so certainly their best interest is, if the Big 12 doesn't stay together, they're geographically it'd be more ideal to be in the ACC. But they're also in a position right now where you can't really say no to anything. You can't tell Bob Bowlesby, that, hey, if you're talking to the Pac-12, leave us out of it because they'd rather do that, have the travel inconvenience of a Pac-12, scheduling alliance, for example, than, be a member of the AAC where your revenue distribution, is dropping from 38 million to 5 million. You just can't live with that. So yeah, that's so important for all these programs is you got to maintain that Power 5 status and get as close as you can to where you're at right now in money, and that's going to drive all this decision making.
While we have you, Max, top 25 coaches poll came out. Bama, nearly unanimous. Oklahoma at number 3 got a couple of the other first place votes. But your thoughts on the polls? Obviously it's not the end all be all, but it does set the stage for the upcoming season.
Man, I haven't even had a chance to look at it.
Okay.
You're really putting me on. Let's see here. Let me pull it up.
Okay.
Gonna get my live reaction.
Hey, there's a team you and I like that's not in it. Let me put it that way. There's not in it. They shouldn't be in it. They didn't get a vote.
Not a one vote.
Not a vote.
How about that?
Nope.
Hey, FSU got one, so chew on that, guys.
Well, that was a sympathy vote for the week. Yeah.
That's very kind of someone to vote for Florida State. Okay, I think here's my one take I'll give you here.
Okay.
First of all, I think there's probably an argument for Oklahoma being number one. I can see why other people just default to Alabama because you assume that they're going to, be full of NFL studs and have the next great quarterback and all that. I think Texas at 19 is too high, and I think TCU should be in the poll. I just like I don't know about this Texas team. I'm not like they're talented, but they're not as talented as people think. And we've seen year one for Herman and Strong, end up being those 6-6 kind of teams. I'm not saying this is going to be that bad, but I can see them being in kind of that 6 to 8 win range, which would not put you in the 25. And I think TCU is probably the one. I think Oklahoma State's going to be pretty solid, but I think TCU, who is 32nd in this, I think TCU should be a top 25 team.
We did mention that.
As long as Duggan's consistent, I think they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, and they seem to have some key parts of what they have and what Patterson needs with his defense and all that.
Definitely.
And we know that they have won 7 of 9 against Texas. And so that's one of the teams that's ahead of them. And I just feel like, I think in this particular case that could be flipped without not much argument. I think that could be flipped. So
got to prove it still. That's Texas.
And I love the fact that Iowa State it's not like, let's put them at 11. I think they've earned, at least now, to be a part of the top 10 and now go stay there and sustain it and see what happens.
Yeah, and it's always fun looking at these. There's definitely a few teams here that, LSU at 13, USC at 14, Miami at 16. There's definitely some interesting teams here in the middle that you're thinking, okay, maybe they have a chance to really blow up and be a top 10 team. But I know that this one's kind of pointless, but it is fun to look at this and start to consider, what what are the tiers of teams this year, and who are we sleeping on, and how about A&M at 6 too? Definitely a lot of real expectations there. Don't know who the quarterback's going to be, obviously, but pretty big time expectations there for Jimbo Fisher.
Yep, no question. Max, thank you. Appreciate your time. Max Olson, theathletic.com. We appreciate his time. We closed it out talking about the discussion of the preseason top 25, and we mentioned that Alabama won. Was it Clemson 2? Oklahoma 3, and Iowa State 8, A&M is 6, just some of the teams, Texas at 19, and Oklahoma State is just inside the top 25.
Yeah, covered a lot of ground there with Max. I mean, obviously everybody's in search of, the final answer to the test and, want to know what the end results are, but as he pointed out in the article and during this segment, I mean, there's just a lot of moving parts, and I know that's not what, I want to hear. I want to hear, tell me where everybody's going to be in 2 years, and we all feel that way, but that's just the reality of the magnitude of what Oklahoma and Texas did, that they had to do it so secretively and probably couldn't have done it if it wasn't so secretive. The more you think about it, there would have been so many hurdles to avoid.
I would have think that if...
Or hurdles created.
Any of the other presidents or ADs found out about it, or that Bob Bowlesby found out about it, there would have been it would have been every, you ever watch one of the car chase movies where somebody's just throwing stuff out of the back of a truck? Mm-hmm. That's what the Big 12 would have been doing. It's just we're going to throw these things out of the back of the truck until the chase ends. And then and the other thing is if you catch, especially early on, because ESPN clearly a part of all this. Oh, yeah. If you catch ESPN early on before they've gotten around all the hurdles to do it, then you've kind of got them over a barrel because you're like, hey,
what's this about?
And then I guess we can't do it because we don't want to get sued.
Do you think if somebody would have gotten the leak 3 weeks earlier, it would have stopped it?
No, I think they would have had to be 4 months earlier.
Yeah, no, back in May or even before then.
They would have had to take one of these big alums from one of the schools just shooting his mouth off going, guess what?
I mean, it would have taken the ball to never have started rolling. Yeah. As soon as though it started rolling, it rolled downhill. But, if somebody would never have kicked the ball, then they would have had a chance. But that did happen months ago, and then it just picked up speed to land us where we were about 3 weeks ago. But, yeah, it's all fascinating. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting year just in general. So many unique teams, so many unique storylines. I mean, that's college football every year, but this year especially, just with that Texas-Oklahoma angle and all that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait.
When we come back, Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades. Anything new since the last time we spoke with him, which was a week ago? He may not be able to share much of it, but there's other things in college sports to discuss with him as well. And this is Sikkim 365 Radio. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers love Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Pizza lovers know the number and how to get in touch with Marco's in 3 locations in the Central Texas area, in the Waco area, in Belmead, China Spring, and also in Woodway. Specialty pizzas, including, by the way, the White Cheesy, for which pizza companies won a gourmet competition in California. The menu includes pizza, subs, wings, and salads, cheesy bread, cine squares, pizza bowls, and co-branded Ghirardelli brownies. So they have all sorts of options depending on what you want. There's the chicken fresco pizza, pepperoni magnifico, the chicken Florentine, and I'm kind of curious about these pizza bowls as well. But I just love a flat, just give me a crust, give me the sauce, give me whatever ingredients you want on top of it, and then, of course, whatever cheese. And 3 cheeses included in a Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Marcos.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Escape the mundane with the responsive power and exhilarating agility of a new Cadillac from Richard Carr Cadillac. Smile behind the wheel again in the supercharged sophistication of a CT4 or CT5 sedan, or the sporty and spacious XT4, XT5, or XT6 lineup of SUVs. Starting at only $33,395, the Cadillac of your dreams is waiting now at an affordable price at Richard Carr. Test drive from the expansive selection at Richard Carr Cadillac, or let us bring a test drive to you. Go to richardcarcadillac.com to schedule a test drive today.
At Impact Research Institute, we can help you identify if you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and measure for liver stiffness or scarring. If you or a loved one has diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, obesity, or concerns about your liver health, Impact Research Institute may be able to help by providing liver health screenings quickly at no cost, physician counseling, and opportunities to qualify for clinical trials. Visit us at impactresearchtx.com for more.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades joins us. A week ago, Mack was on with us a day after being down in Austin, and he joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. So things have settled down, huh? Not as many text messages, phone calls, not much concern about what's going on?
It's still busy, still burning up the cell phone battery.
All right, you couldn't say much about the powwow between the two conferences, the Pac-12 and also the Big 12, because I'm sure you had not yet been notified or had gotten clearance of what was going on. What do you think? Was that just kind of theater, or do you feel like there's something really came out of that?
Oh, I think there was, substantive, conversation between both commissioners, and obviously, Commissioner Bowlesby doing what he can as he thinks about the future of the Big 12, and you've got Commissioner Kliakoff, which I don't remember the exact date, but I'm not sure, he's been in that chair for more than 45 days. And, his membership, his constituents, his schools, institutions, thinking about, possibilities as well. And, so I think, it's certainly probably in his best interest, not speaking for him, but to explore different ideas, as he gets settled into the chair. So, I think that, without sharing, because I can't detail, I think that, there was probably good conversation.
Mack, I saw that you mentioned in the Max Olson article about the three Texas schools remaining together, and that has always not been a sentiment in the Big 12 of all the Texas schools, stepping in one direction. How unified are the three of you right now compared to any time in the past?
Well, I haven't read, Max's article, and so I hope he started with the eight of us being really committed to one another, and so I do hope he mentioned that. And the two other Texas schools, I would tell you that there's great relationship between the three of us. I think the presidents, chancellors certainly have great respect for one another, and communicate often, and I think that certainly describes the three athletic directors. Great respect for one another, and so there's a allegiance to one another. Looking out for the Texas schools. I would say there's a sisterhood or brotherhood there. However you'd want to describe that.
He mentioned that Tech, TCU, and Baylor, and he did mention that the eight were all, at least right now, on the table or on the same page or whatever, and the loyalty was there. But he mentioned the three of you are having almost daily conversations. Is it the three Texas schools having daily conversations, or is it pretty much everybody?
Yeah, I think it's everybody. Yeah, I don't want to give the impression that the three Texas schools are having conversations, intentional conversations, without the other five. So I think it's just a lot of people having conversation, trying to understand what's legitimate, what's not legitimate, just trying to gather information and, think about where we all head in the future.
Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Where are you, or can you tell me, when I saw Dave Aranda, as a lot of us did on Friday, asked him about the vaccine, the percentage, the testing or whatever, and he said it's really gotten a nice little uptick in recent days or whatever. Is there a certain percentage that you want, and do you think you're there or past it?
Yeah, I mean, I would love 100%, right? Because I think it just makes life easier when you're dealing with the day-to-day management of the virus. We get and understand that for some people that's just not what they want to do, and so we'll respect that. But I think our percentages have an opportunity to get above 85%, and so we're trending that way at least with football, and we'll continue to educate our young people, our staff. Again, we're not forcing anybody. We're not kind of quote unquote volunteer workouts. That's not the essence here. People have a freedom to make their decision. We just want them to make the decision based on facts, and not social media, but based on medical facts. Our health professionals are doctors, and so we're going to continue to educate, and our young people and staff will make the best decision for themselves.
Is that been the hardest part, is sifting through the people who are scared because of something they read on social media as opposed to hearing it from a medical professional?
I think that's a fair assessment. I think that there's a lot of I'm not going to say a lot because I'm not on social media, but I do know that there's hearsay and other things that sometimes persuade our young people to make certain decisions. So again, just wanting to make sure that objectively we're preventing facts, and then they can make the best decision. Themselves and their families can make the best decision for them.
Mack, this is a totally random question, but it had me thinking because of what schools have dealt with over the last year, and what schools could potentially, depending on conference payouts and whatnot, deal with in the future. I know Baylor is unique, Baptist institution, but how much thought, if any, have you guys given to the possibility, or is there even a possibility that one day down the line in the future you could potentially see alcohol sales in McLean Stadium?
Well, couple things. Craig, I appreciate you because you're always good for a random question.
Thank you.
And that one is random, but I would just say, you never say never, but that's about as close as you can come to saying never. So I will just say highly likely.
You said that's as close as you could ever come to saying never, and then we lost the last couple of words.
I would just probably phrase it as highly unlikely.
Okay. So I would think, knowing you, that you are trying to push, whether it's Bob Bowlesby and the rest of the conference, and not that you're trying to bully, but you're trying to push thinking outside the box, because you have to look at options. How much has you as a group looked at the options of streaming? And is there a chance that, despite whatever ESPN might think, or Fox might think, or CBS might think, or whoever might think, do you guys have an opportunity for additional revenue through things like Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, whoever else? Is that legitimate?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think those are all things that are going to be in play in our future. There's no question, as we continue to see cord cutting. Make no mistake, linear television is still extremely important. But but the numbers of people, on linear continues to decline. And so the other delivery method, right, linear, all of those different products, different mechanisms that you just mentioned, all have to be in play. It's how we're delivering right now our third tier rights with ESPN Plus, and so I think it's beyond that, like you said, whether it's Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, who knows, but that's where we're headed, and those are all things that we better be mindful of and in consideration of and proactive with and thinking outside the box. Absolutely.
Mack, just your thoughts on football being back out on the practice fields. Dave Aranda and his group seem to be, full of confidence and full of excitement. It's been a nice vibe over there, the little bit that we've been able to take in. Just what's it been like from your point of view on seeing the football team back out there and knowing that in 3 weeks they're going to be traveling to San Marcos to kick off a season?
Yeah, all I can say is thank goodness. Thank goodness that football has started, and, volleyball started yesterday, and soccer is practicing, and cross country. So just thank goodness fall sports are starting, and particular to football. There's a great vibe. There's great energy. Really feel like there's a sense of family and everybody on the same page. I feel like our student athletes have certainly bought into the culture that Coach Aranda is driving and staff together. So it's been a lot of fun, and quite frankly, it's been a great distraction to all of this other stuff that we've spent time talking about. And it's why we do what we do is to see our student athletes, our young people grow on and off the fields and compete at a high level. And so I'm excited about it. I've been to every practice, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Okay, well then I have to ask you this. I asked Dave Aranda Friday if he seems to be more vocal. And
did you see the video put out yesterday?
Yeah. And he kind of said no. In fact, he thinks that maybe even less. But there was a video of practice, and of course, Jack McKenzie from our station goes and gets that 20 minutes or so of open window. It looks like to me that he's gone to a different level. Not that he's overdoing it, over-modulating, but do you see a little change?
Man, that's a fair question. I'm not trying to evade the question, but here's how I'm going to answer that, because I think it's the most accurate way to answer it. I think he's more in command.
Okay.
Than he's ever been, and I just think that speaks to his growth and maturation as a young head coach, and he's continuing to grow, I think again his one of his best qualities is his humility and his intelligence, and so he's always challenging himself to be better, get better, and I would just say he's in more command than what he's been in the past. Not to say he wasn't in the past, but I just think there's a higher comfort level there, and again he's doing a phenomenal job.
Can you tell me what is the constitutional committee that Mark Emmert announced, a group that will be at the table, and that Dr. Livingstone's a part of that? What is that, or is that something she's already been a part of?
No, it's not anything that she's been a part of. It's new. In fact, the committee consists of 23 members, I believe, representing all three divisions. The membership was just released today. there hasn't been a lot of conversation about it, but certainly the understanding is, looking, maybe potentially proposing this group a new governance model that allows for quicker change. Maybe succinctly meeting the needs of each, those specific needs of each division better. That's my understanding of it, and be interesting to see, the outcome. Glad that Dr. Livingstone is on it. I think that speaks well, not just for Baylor, but for somebody that's knowledgeable and I think has a great perspective on college athletics. Shane Lyons, the athletic director from West Virginia, is on there. So the Big 12 is well represented. So it'll be interesting to see what transpires with the committee.
Thank you, Mack. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Mack
Bye-bye.
Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor University, usually on Tuesdays around 4:20. Anything of interest outside of just clarifying a few things, tightening up a few things? And
sorry, fans who hope that maybe one day Baylor will sell alcohol. But I had to ask that because, look, man, I'm looking, where's the money at? If you're looking for new revenue streams, and, I mean, dang near everybody else is already, doing that at this point. I get it, though, the religious affiliation and all of that, which is silly given that the same people who would want it sold are the ones out in the parking lot drinking the most out of anybody. I've always laughed at that hypocrisy, but I had to ask, so at least you have a definitive answer on that. That will not be a revenue stream coming their way anytime soon, but not a surprise. And, I think, overall you can tell that this whole realignment thing is settled down, and it's at least, okay, it's settled down in the public eye. I think behind closed doors, it's as probably feverish as ever. But obviously, we're not going to get any sort of insight into that. And with the way the secrets leaked, the way the whole thing started, I don't think there's going to be any secrets leaking out of a lot of these meetings, especially when the future of 8 schools is on the line and an entire conference's future is on the line.
Well, I think it's the 8 schools. I think it's the potential future of every other school too. Like this domino is the first one to fall of several, and so
if they move into other conferences, that affects you could say you're the Pac-12 or whatever, but if all of a sudden Baylor and Tech and Oklahoma State and TCU come into that conference, I'm gonna tell you what, some Pac-12 teams are losing some games against those 4. So that changes maybe just a random, like a Colorado's outlook on life in the Pac-12 or whatever. But it does have those ramifications that, we look and focus on the move, but then what happens to the schools that are then later affected by said moves, and it's not just about, ultimately it's only about the money, but for those schools, it's about much more than that. And sure, you'd probably be a little bit hesitant, not only in allowing others to enter your protected space, but doing so under your rules and your way of thinking. And then also, there's the athletic part where they could probably beat you pretty regularly as well. So, it has an effect on everything.
I didn't know this. Speaking of revenue springs, and then a break, James P. on the chat room. Great show as always. Thank you. AMC Theaters looking to diversify, but not in the way you may think. Getting into showing games in the theaters. I wonder if that could be a partnership with a conference.
I wonder if this is their investors.
Well, they made a deal with Warner Brothers, so now they're going to, like any movie that comes out in Warner Brothers in the theaters, it's exclusive at AMC. They've got to find new ways because streaming has wrecked their business model. That's COVID too.
There's so many things that when you grow up, both of you guys are about within 5 years of the same age, and of course I'm much older. How many things that were just automatically what you did are evaporated in some ways?
But movie theaters, they were seeing some hit because of Netflix and things like that, but ultimately their hit was Corona. People not wanting to go to the theater, so there was really nothing they could do about that. But now that people have spent a year and a half many of them not moving from watching Netflix or Hulu or Amazon for the last 14 months. They're not ready to start getting back out and going to the theater when they're still things. So, yeah, they got to figure out other ways to bring people into theaters. And maybe you show, like, I know there's some theaters from time to time will show like a wrestling pay-per-view. If you have enough of a crowd that you think.
They show operas and stuff. They show like weird things.
How about a major, there aren't many great boxing matches anymore, but you see the pay-per-views. That's where in the day when I was younger, you'd go to either an auditorium or you'd go to a theater and you could see the fight pay-per-view back in the days of Ali and Frazier and Foreman when they had a bunch of great heavyweights. But that's a thought.
Back in the day, the time you're talking about, they could sell out McLean Stadium to watch that on the Jumbotron. Now I can watch it on my phone in the backseat of a car.
Have you been to a theater since March of last year?
No.
Movie theater, Paul? You're a movie buff.
But not because I'm scared to. I just haven't gone. I've had no motivation to.
I learned to kind of find the movies I want to watch. And even just sometimes, okay, that looks like it's a great movie. And then it comes out on whatever it is on demand a month or two later.
There hasn't been a movie come out that I'm like, oh, I got to see that in the theater. Even though I like, the Marvel movies and stuff. I will, though. I will definitely, I can say for sure the next movie I go to in the theater, and there might be one before that, but I will definitely, at the very latest, go to the theaters to see The Batman. I will go see that in the theaters with Robert Pattinson and that whole crew.
I'll probably do the James Bond movie.
What about John Wick?
I didn't know about. See, I don't know the movie schedule like Paul does. So
when is John Wick coming out with his fourth one?
They're still casting it, so it's
All right, I asked this question on a text to Paul and Craig one time. We're going to throw this out there just for fun.
It's not even a question.
Huh?
It's not even a question.
What?
It's not even a question.
I was watching, as on those Saturdays and Sundays, that'll have something in the background. Craig's Off the Radar is next. Jason Bourne or John Wick? Who wins?
John Wick.
Why?
John Wick. He's not limited by his
supernatural.
He's not limited by his memory.
Armstrong. Are you going to throw in your comment on this one? John Wick or Jason Bourne?
I think Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
No.
Look, we got to come back with Off the Radar.
Watch the fall that John Wick takes towards the end of movie 3 off a roof and tell me that Jason Bourne would get up and walk away from that.
He would.
He's not. He's not getting up from that one.
Oh, my Lord.
Jason Bourne's getting up from anything.
After getting shot, too. He got
shot like 12 times, stabbed a couple. I mean, watch the beatings that Wick takes.
He fell. I remember that. I've watched those, every one of them. It's one of those I can't stop watching.
Wick's got Halle Berry.
Jason Bourne or John Wick. All right, when we come back, Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. We're going to check in with the Cowboys at 5 with David Hellman in California. And this is Sikkim, 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
If you are looking to buy a new home or sell the one you're in, and look, it's a seller's market right now. You need guidance. You need someone who's going to guide you through that process and in a great way, and that is Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team brokered by eXp Realty. Lance is a local realtor here in Waco with a unique perspective, and that's certainly a great way to describe him. He's an awesome guy. You're going to love looking at a house with him, and plus, when you're trying to sell the house and then buy another one with this crazy market, you want somebody who can navigate those choppy waters really well, and that's Lance Donaldson. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Life is back on, sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up for their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BETUS. BetUS for 125% bonuses with promo code SICK'EM125. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'EM125.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Grant Dideker, under the umbrella of Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, McLennan County agent. And you have this umbrella. We mentioned the umbrella of Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, but you serve more than just like home insurance, or you have all sorts of different levels of different things you cover.
Yeah.
How much does that help?
I talked to a guy today. He has, Allstate on his car, Progressive boat, and, Farmers on his home. So I said, why don't you, do you know your agents? No, I just call the 800 number. Why don't you just let me quote that and we can have it all here. It makes it a lot less complicated for you. He really liked that. So we have auto, home, life, several different brokerage options, classic cars. Got to ride in a 1978 Ferrari one time.
Grant Dideker, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, McLennan County agent. If someone wants to contact you, just straight on your cell phone?
Yep, 254-265-0442.
Grant Dideker, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, a McLennan County agent.
Welcome back to Sick'em 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
All right, welcome back into Sick'em 365 Radio. Time for Off the Radar, a look at some stories that we otherwise would not touch on in our conversation, mostly focusing around college football, expansion, and the like. We will stick in the college world to at least start off, though. This was a kind of a shockwave story to a slight extent yesterday when it came out, but the University of Louisville, they're going to have at least one barrier when it comes to name, image, and likeness. They sent out a letter to student athletes yesterday saying, we are advising all student athletes to cease involvement with Barstool Sports in terms of NIL activity. Barstool had gone around almost like on a willy-nilly campaign of just signing athletes up from like a variety of sports. You remember that when the doors first opened for NIL and everybody was a Barstool athlete like in the first 48 hours. But Louisville says Barstool Sports does not comply with University of Louisville policies, does not comply with the criteria outlined in the Kentucky governor's executive order, and then it relays some email addresses for those who may have questions. But we've not really heard much about NIL deals getting struck down. And then again, why would we? Because I don't think the company probably wants that out there if they're not getting, the college to agree to work with them or the student athlete to agree to work with them. But what do y'all think about Louisville just outright saying like, hey, no Barstool Sports?
There was a concern from the beginning about the connection to gambling. I think they kind of maybe clarified that. But there's a reason. You'd rather be safe than sorry, right? Maybe at some point, Portnoy and Barstool and whoever, that they figure this out and they kind of help separate themselves or they do something on the side. But that was one of the things from the beginning of NIL, even before it became official, that always made me nervous about any connections, because we know what gambling in college sports, people, billions. But the concern is with the college athlete, the collegiate athlete in gambling.
Yeah, they got to separate it more. Like, I know they made like a move, like a corporate restructuring move to like separate it off, but I think they're probably going to have to do more than that. Whatever it is, to make sure that there's no accidental touching of gambling.
Right. Well, that's interesting. And, obviously Barstool's, I'm sure, got their words for Louisville and whatnot. But that's just a new little event that has occurred in this whole name, image, likeness era that we're now living in. And sticking on that topic for a moment, this is a bit old, but D'Eriq King, man, he is really just killing it with these name, image, and likeness deals. He already had a big payday as far as earlier last month when all of these deals were made possible, but he's actually become the first college athlete to partner up with a pro sports franchise. He's teaming up with the Florida Panthers. So he's going to be doing some stuff with the Florida Panthers hockey organization, and he seems to be a guy that was, already sitting there with plans made almost. Like, he really has thought this out. He's at the forefront, I think, and obviously Thibodeau at Oregon is getting a lot of opportunities. But D'Eriq King, it just feel like every other day I look up and he's involved in some new NIL deal.
And if Miami is really good this year, that's going to be great for him, because then he'll be set. No matter what happens in his professional life, if you're a big-time University of Miami quarterback, then you're set for life. And he's setting himself to do that. And if you're the Florida Panthers, why not have D'Eriq King? Like, try to get people in the seats. Hockey is popular in Florida.
It is.
The two-time defending Stanley Cup champ is up the road in Tampa. So Miami's problem, though, is, while it's a pro sports town, it's not a very well-attended sports town, pro or college, because there is a lot of competition for your entertainment dollar. And, a lot
I've been on South Beach. Last thing on my mind is hockey.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just all those things that go on. So, yeah, if you can get some sports fans, streamlined into there, I think that's a great move.
Yep, so that was announced a couple days ago. He's going to be working with the club to develop a merchandise collection, co-branded art, and his own exclusive concession menu item available at the BB&T Center. He'll also make appearances at some of their games and events and engage with fans on social media. He'll also produce digital content. So D'Eriq King, a very busy young man, and partnered up with the Florida Panthers. We were talking to Mack Rhoades a moment ago about vaccination rates. Well, yesterday, Lane Kiffin told ESPN his Ole Miss team has reached a 100% vaccination rate among coaches, players, staff members, and everybody involved with the program. So that's not so much like a big story to have big opinions on it per se, but that's good to hear. It's good to see that, and that's one less thing for Ole Miss to have to worry about now. But we know that it's going to be a struggle for everybody to get to that 100%. But Ole Miss has apparently reached that. All right. Amongst your favorites in sports media, where would you rank Holly Rowe?
She's one of my favorites, personally. She's really good at her job. She's a great human being. Everybody likes Holly Rowe. And let's not talk about my last interaction with Holly Rowe.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So we're at a Baylor basketball
No.
Go ahead.
We're at a Baylor basketball game, and Holly Rowe had beaten cancer. Of course, it's hard to say you've ever beaten cancer because we know it's the most evil thing ever. But so they were having a moment where all the Baylor fans had these, what would they call, Paul?
Stand up to cancer signs.
Stand up to cancer. And Paul was in the background of this cutaway to Holly Rowe at courtside underneath one of the baskets. And what were you doing?
Directly behind Holly Rowe.
And?
So they came.
What were you doing?
They gave me a sign that said, "I stand up for Holly." And so I flipped it over because she was right there. So she wouldn't see it because it was supposed to be a surprise for her. And then when I picked it up, it was upside down.
It was upside down. Of everybody, all 9,948 people that were in that on TV, and Paul Catalina was the Grinch that stole the moment.
Yeah,
I think she's incredible. She seems to be about as legitimate as you could possibly be.
Yep.
She does her homework. She does a great job.
Yep, and she will now be the main sideline reporter on ABC Saturday Night Football. Obviously, Maria Taylor taking off to NBC, but Holly Rowe will be joining Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. It's her 26th season covering college football for the ESPN ABC property. She'll start, obviously, in August. And it's a part of her already existing contract. But, yeah, you're going to see Holly Rowe teamed up with Fowler and Herbstreit on Saturday nights. Also, wanted to mention that another NIL story that I almost forgot about. There has been a lot of talk about South Lake Carroll and the whole Quinn Ewers leaving early for, NIL deals and things like that. And also, I'm sure to compete and get on the starting track there for the Buckeyes sooner rather than later. But did you guys see his first NIL deal that he announced yesterday?
It was with kombucha.
Yeah. Holy Kombucha had the full 3-tweet long statement that they emailed him 5 minutes before and told him to post for $500 or whatever, because that's how it works. But he said, I may be leaving Texas soon to take it to the next level, but I made sure to take the best Texas drink company with me, and I am pumped to be representing Holy Beverages for many years ahead. He's got it in his fridge. The stuff they typed out for him. He said all that.
Well, wait a minute. He might actually have a whole...
No, I don't think so. Okay. It was very much a statement from the company, because I know how those work too. Like Instagram posters, the company sends them an email, copy and paste this, and the really lazy ones directly copy and paste it and don't insert their name or identifying, and so you can just tell that they copy and pasted it off the email. But hey, it didn't take him long to get his first deal. He's got a kombucha sponsorship, and he hasn't even, I don't think, arrived in Columbus, Ohio yet. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out for him in the long run.
Good for him, and I hope it works out for Holy Kombucha.
Yeah.
I hope it works out for them.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it, and
crazy world we're living in now. You got a high school senior leaving early to go move to Ohio State, and before he even lands in Ohio, he's got a kombucha sponsorship.
Well, I want to tell you this.
He's leaving early to sell kombucha, which again is something I can't even wrap my head around.
That's really what it is.
I had something shared with me from somebody that's very close to the South Lake Carroll program that I don't know if it was the Texas High School Coaches Association or who sent out a memo about this Quinn Ewers stuff. And Ohio State, there's something called straight line recruiting. You guys know what that is?
Yep.
You got to be in connection with the coach, the college coach, in connection with the high school coach. And there was concern that was not the case. I'm not saying that's not what Day. I'm not trying to say Ryan Day didn't do this. I don't know the story. But there was a concern that might have been missing here. Straight up, eyeball to eyeball or phone to phone, ear to ear, whatever, with the high school head coach, who, of course, is Riley Dodge. And there was actually a memo sent out to high schools all around the state of Texas about this. Make sure you don't let straight line recruiting get loose in our state. I don't know if that's true or not, but there was enough people there that were disturbed about it.
Yep, so just interesting to see that. And, kombucha, I don't know what their investment is, but they obviously think he's going to be a big-time player. And hadn't even barely graduated or is going to graduate soon and already has a kombucha deal. So that's pretty crazy. And final couple of notes. This one should have been very on the radar, but it's just a matter of us, having a lot of other things to talk about. Luka Doncic, no surprise that he's going to remain a Maverick for the foreseeable future, but he did finally get his deal done. Massive deal for Luka Doncic. $207 million extension for the young Slovenian, 5-year deal. So as a Mavericks fan, very excited to just see him put pen to paper and make it official. Now they need to add some pieces around him, but he is locked down now for the next 5-year contract extension. So good to see, and obviously big money for a big-time player.
But they still didn't land a premium free agent. They got some that are going to help them. But it just seemed like it's like, why not? I don't know why not. I don't know. They just haven't been able to land that premier guy. And
this has legitimately been a conversation on Dallas Sports Radio for about 15 years now. Is Dallas and free agency and
they're
why?
not a destination point for any kind of basketball, and like it is in Miami or maybe even
and they're not for
in
baseball
LA or
either.
New York. No, and they're not in baseball. Even when they were World Series contenders and almost won it twice, but. In the NFL, they're absolutely a destination location.
Yeah, but the Cowboys don't bring in a lot of free agents.
Well, but they also haven't, lately, if they wanted to, though. If they wanted to go out and get somebody, they usually get them.
If the salary cap ended tomorrow, believe me, they would be the free agent destination.
Speaking of NFL, final note for you, NFL putting out their annual rules changes and whatnot, and apparently there's going to be a targeted crackdown on taunting this year.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
It's a waste of time.
Officials have been instructed to strictly enforce taunting rules in 2021. 2 violations result in automatic ejection with fines and even suspensions in play.
It's another penalty that is
completely subjective.
Subjective. There's it's dumb. Like pass interference is hard enough. Now you want to put them in a position about taunting. They finally have allowed them to celebrate the last year or 2 or 3. the taunting, there are certain times when it can go way overboard. I can see where it may start a disturbance or any kind of a brouhaha. But, you know,
did have some rules or else Jalen Ramsey would be in a fight every single week.
Every NBA dunk would be a technical foul.
Yeah, so a lot of no-fun league, and that's why that's trending is because of this rule. They're saying they're going to target down, or they're going to crack down, I should say, on targeting. So there's some NIL stuff, some NFL stuff. Lucas re-signs with the Mavs to a max deal for 5 years, and those are a few stories off the radar.
All right, one note that I have to pass on the question about John Wick or Jason Bourne. I forgot who put it up there. What did somebody mention John Wick and Halle Berry?
Yeah, Halle Berry goes and helps him kick some ass.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, someone said that he wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
End of discussion.
I mean, I think he did anyways, but then you add her into the mix and her character, too, on top of that, and all his other buddies. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, when we come back, a couple of notes. Baylor football. Also, John McClain will join us in this hour at Paul's Top 5 today in about 30 minutes or so. Oh, I'm sorry, in a little bit less than an hour. David Hellman's coming up next on the Cowboys, all right? God, it's hot in the studio, and I hate to say that because no one out there can notice, but we are working through a heat storm here. When we come back, David Hellman on the Cowboys, Craig, and Off the Radar every Tuesday and Thursday. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
All right, gamblers, I want you to remember this promo code on BetUS.com. It's Sikkim125. Sikkim125. That's a 125% bonus on any account over $100. Sikkim125 at BetUS.com. Why BetUS, you say? Well, they've been serving clients for 25 plus years, and they pride themselves on being known as America's favorite sports book. With action on every sport across the world, we can pretty much guarantee that they've got your game. And BetUS offers the industry's biggest retail bonuses to keep their players betting longer. Hey, like Sikkim125, that's Sikkim125. And the BetUS loyalty program is legendary. They keep their players up to date with articles, player team stats, and trends, giving you the right tools to make the best wagering decisions. That's BetUS.com. BetUS.com. Use promo code Sikkim125.
Nothing beats fall, football, and Ford. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgin Ford. The Friday night lights at Midway High School ignite that electric feeling. And Bird Colgin Ford, we have some cool electric vehicle options as well. Come put your custom order in today for the all-new Mach-E or Ford Lightning. Enjoy the electricity and the lightning speed on the football field and nominate who you think deserves the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week at FordPlayerOfTheWeek.com. Visit us anytime at BKFord.com, making buying your next Ford simple at BK Ford.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy an elite tennis facility, but also to remain fit and reshape your body. And ahead of the curve with the explosion of interest in pickleball with instructors Joe Rosa and Jody Thurman and courts available. Like your body, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. Large flat screens stretched across the weight room with Wi-Fi available with their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports. Beautiful sound of members working out, running, lifting, stretching, group exercise classes throughout each day. Personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. New look bar and lounge area with beer and wine with large flat screens. New touchless water fountains outside of each locker room, and both include shower, sauna, and whirlpool, and a world-class tennis courts facility and youth academy led by Pro Britt Cole. Fitness and tennis merchandise and a tanning bed. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
Here is Pollard all the way in for 6.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, David Hellman, we're waiting on him. He's out at Oxnard, where, my God, it feels probably a lot more comfortable than it does here in the state of Texas. We had a pretty wet July, which was great, a lot of rain that kept things pretty cool. And then, of course, even some small, like 70-degree temperatures in the morning. But
when he calls back, I'm going to need him to describe in great detail what it feels like there, just so I can maybe mentally put myself in that place.
Think about the marine layer when it comes over and it gets kind of chilly.
It's my favorite.
So I can't find the actual Glenn Kinney on the chat room. I need to get a 200-year-old Grand Marnier with that steak. And there's a discussion back and forth about a steak and what is the best steak place to eat. Now, it's what the chat room has turned into. But 200-year-old Grand Marnier, is that right?
Can you?
I don't know. That's way above my pay grade.
Maybe it's a thing. Maybe 20 years old.
Steve Chapman at Riverbend, one of the great sponsors. Here's one of the interesting.
I mean, he does broker liquor, but I don't think he's Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Timothy Vermeer. Tickets for the Field of Dreams game going for $1,400 a piece. Wow. Where are they playing that?
The Field of Dreams.
Iowa. Do they have outfield fences?
Yeah.
They hit it into the cornfield?
Yeah. They're playing at the actual Field of Dreams.
That's awesome. Good.
In Iowa.
What are the like? It's 3:30 down the line, or is it 3:05? It's going to be like 15 to 14. I'm not trying to disrespect the stadium.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
that would be.
Let's find out what their dimensions are.
Well, while we're waiting to talk Cowboys, we've not said a word about the Hall of Fame ceremony over the weekend. So, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think thank God they broke it into 2 days. They pretty much timed people out. I thought Peyton Manning was great. He scripted it, but he also hit a lot of points about the game, the future of the game of football, and how those who are being inducted and others involved, coaches, players, fans, there's a standard to keep to save the game, make sure the game of football doesn't, go out of whack or whatever. Drew Pearson, we're happy for him. We had him on soon after he was finally named. We had him on right after he was disappointed a year ago or so. He tried to squeeze in, I think, too much in a short amount of time.
Yeah, he also got a good zinger on Mike Ditka, though, which I thought was funny. I thought it was great.
I thought Charles Woodson was great.
Yeah. By the way, the dimensions of the you are right, Smokey. It is going to be 300 to left, 315 to right, 350 to dead center.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's going to be interesting as well. So,
one thing in Googling the Field of Dreams game, just to see more details on it.
They made it bigger, so sorry. 335 down the lines, 400 center for the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense. Otherwise, there'd be a home run derby. But apparently Guy Fieri has partnered with the Field of Dreams game and will have what's
no, don't say
apple pie hot dog. Apple pie hot dog will be on the menu for those of you checking out games. So
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
I would never go against Guy Fieri. I watch what is it called?
It's in
Diners, Drive-Ins.
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives all the time on the background on my television, but I wouldn't go against him for knowing something that might hit.
It's an all-beef hot dog with apple pie filling and Fieri's signature bacon jam enclosed in a flaky pie crust. It's also topped with an apple mustard drizzle, apple pie spice, and I don't know how to pronounce this, demerara sugar. I don't think that's for me. I don't like mixing hot dogs and sweets. That just doesn't. I mean, I don't even like relish, so I definitely would not like bacon jam and.
You're usually are you a mustard hot dog guy? No, you're not just straight up.
I like chili dogs, and that's about it. Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, I like a regular hot dog too, but I don't do like the mustard and all.
All right, let's ask our good friend covers the Cowboys in David Hellman. Oh, we still don't have him.
Still not.
No, he's calling.
Here he comes. Here he comes. Hold on. Let's see. All right. There we go. There's
David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com. Okay, David, tell us what you think of this. Craig, tell us what's going to be at the Field of Dreams baseball game, Guy Fieri.
Yeah, well, welcome to the show, David. Would you be interested in an apple pie hot dog, an all-beef hot dog, apple pie filling, Guy Fieri's signature bacon jam, and a flaky pie crust topped with apple mustard drizzle, pie spice, and demerara sugar? Does that sound up your alley?
To be perfectly blunt, that sounds disgusting. But I mean, it's like a once in a lifetime event. Like if I was there at the Field of Dreams game and Guy Fieri offered me that, I'd probably try it just to say that I did. But I have a hard time believing it's good.
Yeah,
that'd be one of those things that maybe you get 3 or 4 people and you just try a bite.
Yeah, everybody gets a bite.
There you go. Yeah, that way you don't have to eat the whole thing. David, post Hall of Fame game and Rams practice, what are you starting to see stick out to you? I know that you've been pretty impressed so far with Dan Quinn.
I'm impressed with Dan Quinn as a person. We'll see. Everything's rosy this time of year in terms of what's happening on the field. Everybody's amazing, but it's so easy to roll your eyes at head coaches and coordinators. It's kind of like a dance between them and us about who can not give anything away and who can be as boring as possible. But Dan Quinn's just fun to talk football with. Like I said on Twitter earlier, I feel like I learned things about the way that he views the field and the way that he views players and wants to use them. I know that's not very helpful, but in a world where, like I said, the objective is usually to give away as little as possible. And, he's not giving away scheme secrets when he talks to us, but it's just interesting to see the way that a guy's brain works when he's been coaching pro football for a decade or more. I feel like I get smarter when I talk to him.
So I saw the video, Connor Williams and obviously Aaron Donald. That went for quite a bit. Did you just see a little bit more of an edge? I mean, it's one play. I don't know what else happened throughout the time or whatever, but is Connor Williams, does he also feel like the clock is ticking and he's got to kind of step it up himself?
I firmly believe, which, I didn't have a chance to talk to either of them after that practice, but I think Aaron Donald kind of started that fight because he was frustrated that Connor Williams was getting the better of him because they went against each other in individual drills before that. And, it's not like Connor Williams dominated him, but Connor Williams wasn't rolling over for him either. I mean, I think Connor got a win in one rep and then the other one was kind of a stalemate. You could pick your side, but Aaron Donald did not dominate him by any stretch. And then the same thing happened in team. And, when you're a 3-time defensive player of the year, maybe you're kind of mad about that going against the guy who you should be a lot better than. So, I don't know if that means Connor's ready to make his first Pro Bowl, but he looks really good out here. I thought he was underrated last year. He was the only member of that offensive line that played the whole season. He was the only veteran out there with a whole bunch of guys who had never proven anything. And, now he's working at center and guard, trying to prove his versatility in the contract year. I've been really impressed with his approach, and I think it's shown on the field as well.
David, have you been impressed with any of the young defensive backs?
Maybe not impressed in the sense I'm not trying to say they're going to be in the starting lineup, but, everybody killed Deshaun Wright because nobody had ever heard of him when he got picked. We've talked about that a million times, but, he comes out here and he battles. He doesn't look like he should play cornerback. He's 6'4". He's all arms and legs. I don't even know how a guy that size changes direction as quickly as an NFB needs to. And, he got picked on a little bit by Chase Claypool in the Hall of Fame game the other night, but he just comes back and competes and gets his hands on a lot of footballs. And like I said, it doesn't look like it should make sense that he can mix it up with a lot of these guys, but he really does. I don't think he's going to start this year unless something terrible happens, but I've been impressed by what I've seen from him.
I know that because he hadn't thrown in a while and because there were back and forth people discussing Dak, I saw tons of video today of him throwing, lobbing some passes, Amari Cooper, among others. Is that a breath of relief? Is that just a sign of the next level? What does that mean?
I think at the very least it means that the Cowboys aren't lying to us, and I think that's what people get nervous about is coaches and executives love to say oh, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden the guy's headed for surgery. And, I know that's in the back of people's mind when they hear that Dak's not throwing. And to be very clear, like you said, he was lobbing the ball around. It's not like he was firing darts around the field today. It was a very light form of workout. But the fact that he was doing it at all and seemed to be fine while he was doing it, like I said, it's an indicator that he is on the track that they said he was on. So, maybe, I guess you could call it a sigh of relief that, it so far looks like it is what they said it was.
David, how much of a bummer is the injury to fullback Siwo Olonilua, and where do the Cowboys look next as far as trying to find a replacement for him? Yeah,
it sucks because Siwo has such a unique skill set. I thought he had a really good chance to make the roster. Not that he's get a lot of carries or anything, but he's 6'3", 240, so he's big enough to play fullback. He's also, he could also do a lot of the H-back type stuff that you might want like a third or fourth tight end to do. So he could have essentially helped you fill two roster spots in one. Fortunately, the Cowboys haven't been a big fullback team in a long time anyway. I mean, we've come a long way from Moose Johnston. I mean, I think they ran with two backs like 10 times all of last season. It's just not something that they've done very much. So, I mean, they don't even have to carry a fullback if they don't want to. But they do have another one in camp by the name of Nick Ralston. He's actually he's a DFW guy. I believe he went to Louisiana Lafayette. So I'm probably get a bigger opportunity here in these preseason games. And, if he shows them something, maybe that's a bigger opportunity for him. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they just opt not to keep a fullback.
David, 3 days from now, you have to leave California. Are you coping with that well?
Very, almost fortunately for me, like I kind of get a primer because I'm leaving here, and before I go to Dallas, they're playing a game in Phoenix, so I'll get reacclimated to the heat real quick if I had to guess. It's a mixed bag, I'm gonna miss the weather out here, but I'm also not complaining about getting to go home to my own apartment and my own bed and my favorite bars and all of the things that I haven't really been able to do while I was out here. So yeah, I'm definitely going to miss it being 60 degrees when I wake up every day, but it'll be nice to not live in a hotel for the first time in a month too.
Oh, shut up. You're not, we don't feel sorry for you at all, Paul.
I wasn't asking for your sympathy.
The air conditioner is broken in our studio right now. So before you go, if you could just describe how cool it is there. I mean, and if we make weird noises, sorry, it's just going to happen.
What's funny is, it's technically, it's 3:00 here. So this is quote unquote the heat of the day. And it's funny, like once you get used to being out here, because it's 60 degrees when you wake up and then it's like 55 and foggy when the sun sets. So during the day, it's like 73 degrees. And after you've been out here for a while, you're like, man, it's kind of hot, man.
Yep. Yeah.
And then, but every time I start to think about that, I'm like, yeah, no, this is not hot. It'll be hot when I go home next week. Cause I'm wearing long sleeves right now and I feel great. So yeah, I'm not complaining.
And when you left Texas, you left when we were getting more rain in a month of July and also cooler mornings than I can remember, although still humid. So you're coming back to what it was supposed to be for 2 or 3 weeks before you left. I think I just felt the air conditioner come on.
Oh, that'd be great if that was the case.
Good.
That'd be
Oh,
fantastic.
my God. So we love you again, David Hellman. So,
I'm glad to hear that.
yeah. Hey, what about you got another one? You got?
Yep.
Go ahead.
David, is Hard Knocks appointment viewing, or is that like, hey, you're living it, so it's not like a priority watch?
Oh, I mean, forget whether or not I care. I mean, it's part of my job. You just know something's going to get said on this dumb show that makes the news cycle. I mean, whether it's about Dak's shoulder or, somebody somebody almost got arrested, but like it didn't make the news. Like there's any number of dumb storylines that nobody out here has any clue about that's going to come out on this show. So, I mean, fortunately I'm a football dork, so I want to watch it anyway, but even if I didn't want to, the job kind of requires that you tune in to see what's going on.
Yeah, that's a good point. What about this taunting rule that they're going to add to the NFL? I don't like it.
Yeah, go figure. The NFL is doing everything it can to make its product less entertaining. These are grown men who make 6 and 7 figures to play a game, and it's supposed to be fun. Like I really don't understand it. And I know there's some people out there that love it when players hand the ball to the ref and act like nothing happened. I think that's boring. I like bat flips. I like, people throwing up the peace sign when they score a big touchdown. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a spectacle. And, it's one thing in college where these are technically kids, but these are grown men getting paid a lot of money. So let them do what they want, in my opinion. But the league never listens to common sense. So
thank you, David. Appreciate your time. David Hellman.
Thanks, guys.
Love watching his reports whenever I can, and also having him on the show Tuesdays at 5. John McClain will join us in 20 minutes or so, or a little bit less than that.
Actually,
Here's
a lot less than that.
College football note. Dennis Dodd, Oregon plays Ohio State this year at the Horseshoe, right? Their guarantee was going to be $300,000 because they were going to play Ohio State last year, I believe, in Eugene. But that game was blown up because the Pac-12 rarely played, and also because of, COVID, which is why they rarely played. And then they, of course, decided they were going to kind of duck out a little bit anyway. They're going to get from $300,000 that was guaranteed, it was going to be that, $3.5 million now from Ohio State. And Ohio State will return the game early next decade, but they can't play for a while. So how about that? Two teams. Ohio State could have put their foot down. This is who you're going to play. This is on our schedule, but they are going to milk. They're going to up that ante, and good for them. Good for Ohio State and Oregon for working that out. And Oregon's a big boy football school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's not like they had to get a payout like someone is getting a game in Oregon or Ohio State or Texas or Oklahoma because it keeps their budget alive. So good for Ohio State for being able to make that work. They're going to make plenty, believe me. I can't wait for. That's what I love about college football. In this day and age, the possibility of super conferences or whatever, like Oregon and Ohio State is interesting to me. Mm-hmm. Kind of a game you don't see much, right? I love those early season games like that to kind of get a barometer, and I look forward to seeing that one. All right, when we come back, we'll have John McClain, Houston Chronicle, Paul's Top 5 in 30 minutes or less, and this is Sikkim 365 Radio. Metal Buildings, welcome to the Pioneer Way. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, locations in Waco and Bryan. Metal buildings, metal roofing, pipe, and steel. That's what they do, and that's what they've done since 1943. Now think about that. Since 1943, they have been in business, and they have thrived, survived at times because of the economy, and kept going because of two things. One, they have great product, and also on top of that, which is what their slogan is about the Pioneer Way, great customer service. You can shake everybody's hand, have all the coffee you want. You can do all of that, make somebody feel comfortable, love them up as a customer, but you want them to come back a second time, which also then means they like you, but they love your product too. Pioneer Steel and Pipe open Saturdays from 8 until noon. Structural pipe, structural steel, purlin, tubing, beams, and weld plates, H-braces, and also they have fence posts, culverts and gates, sheet and expanded metal, heavy-duty equipment. They'll deliver it, they'll unload it, and they've done that since 1943. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, Waco and Bryan, pioneerboys.com.
Make the summer sales event as rocking at Allen Samuels with the 2021 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star with total values up to $5,250 or 2.9% for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. The 1500 Crew Cab has the top safety rating and is ranked number 1 in full-size pickup trucks. Allen Samuels, 201 West Loop 340.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
John McClain, Houston Chronicle, Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame writer, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. So, John, they just slammed in a bunch of Hall of Famers over the weekend. Thank goodness that finally was able to get done. Anything out of that time or what you saw that comes to mind to you that you saw as the most memorable part of it?
Oh, David, I don't think any of it was memorable to me. I was glad Drew Pearson finally got in. I was so happy for him. Chris Harris, he was very deserving. The other Cowboy that I think is not in, who's the most deserving, is Chuck Alley. their great outside linebacker. He's another senior candidate every year. I'm on the seniors committee, and I would love to see him make it. But the one I was really the most excited for was Drew Pearson, and I'm sorry for him and his fans that it took so long to get him in there. And Peyton, of course, had the best speech because Peyton always has the best of everything. Edgerrin James was funny, and it's always a monumental weekend, and having to do it the way they did it because of the pandemic, I salute everybody at the Hall of Fame who I know has been working 24/7 for months on this thing, and I'll bet you they've been sleeping all week.
John, have you ever seen something as bizarre as the Deshaun Watson situation is playing out right now?
Well, Paul, it's only bizarre because so many of the people in the media don't have a clue. I mean, to me, it's pretty simple, and it hasn't changed anything since I've been talking to you guys months ago. He wants to be gone. They want him to be gone. They want him to be traded. Nobody's making the offers because of all the legal issues he has with his 22 civil suits and 10 criminal complaints and a police investigation, a league investigation, and could be a grand jury indictment. So nobody's going to make any offer while that's not clear. Meanwhile, he has to be there. If he's not there, he gets fined $50,000 a day. So he showed up. He came to practice first week. Second week, he got treatment on, I think it was ankle and calf injuries. And he went to the team meetings. He's doing everything he needs to do so he cannot be suspended for insubordination without pay. And so this week they've had him out there very interestingly, just when TV cameras and everybody can shoot videos. And then as soon as the cameras are required to go off about halfway through practice, 5 sessions in, he goes in, takes off his uniform, puts on shorts and a T-shirt, and comes back out and stands around. So that tells me that they're trying to showcase him and let teams know that he's working out. He's not injured. He can still fling it for when the time comes that teams finally start making him an offer.
Where did Simone Biles visit a few days ago rank amongst the highlights of training camp?
Well, for a lot of people, they just kind of went gaga in the media. She was there again today. It wasn't as big a deal. She was there with her boyfriend, Jonathan Owens, free safety, who's a really, really good guy. He's famous all over the world, and nobody in Houston knows him. He did an interview last week, and he was tremendous talking about her and everything she's gone through in Tokyo. And now that she's done with all that, she can be a regular visitor. I think he'll make the team. If he doesn't make the roster, he'll be on the.
We got him?
John, you there? We lost you for a second.
I'm here.
Okay, I'm sorry. But I saw the note today about the rule about taunting. Is this too much of a subjective penalty already? Don't they have enough of those?
Wouldn't you think the NFL had a lot more to worry about?
Yes.
In taunting. And I don't, there's so many things that make up taunting, and a lot of players get penalized for it, but they think it's a bad look, and they're going to crack down on it. And if they do it, I just hope they do it consistently.
But how do you do something like that consistently? Because almost every taunt is different.
Well, they're instructed by the NFL and the head of officials. They have films. They go over things for months about, okay, here's an example of taunting. This is not taunting. So it's going to be really hard for some player to come up with something ingenious that they have yet to see. But I think when they see it, they're going to know it. Bottom line is just make a play, go back to the huddle, dance, do whatever you celebrate with your teammates, the fans. Just don't lip off or hold the ball up or do anything that they consider taunting. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear to me what it is. And if you're too dumb to figure it out, you deserve to get penalized.
John, as a big NFL fan, but somebody who's seen there's been so many different Hard Knocks at this point. Is the Cowboys Hard Knocks something of interest for you to watch, or not so much?
Craig, I've watched every episode of every Hard Knock since the first one, so I've never missed one.
Cool.
And the reason is because it takes you where you can't go, and I like that part. And I thought they had it here one year. 2015, I thought they'd be obtrusive. They weren't at all. And when it left, there was only one thing I saw on TV that I wish I'd have been able to have, but that was a meeting between a player and a general manager when the player was late. But it wasn't any big deal, but I'm always fascinated by Hard Knocks.
Hey, John, I've asked you about Lovie Smith many times, even back when the story was that he was going to take over as the defensive coordinator, assistant head coach. But how much the defense that he is so good with, the defense that was at Tampa, with the Rams, and then, of course, with the Bears as well, how much of a difference can 1 year make, no matter, and I know the talent level, but can he make a pretty good difference just because of what he's always done before?
Well, he better, because the defense he took over was 30th, 32nd against the run, just humiliating against the run. Forced only 9 turnovers, second fewest since 1980 in the NFL, and that's his trademark. And so he has a lot of players who are 4-3 players. He got linebackers like he likes, small, quick, can run, can cover. And how well they do that remains to be seen. It starts up front. They got like 12 new linemen, 3-4 linebackers converted to defensive end, and starting Saturday night at Lambeau Field, we're going to see how all this shakes out.
John, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Scott Drew was a big hit today in Houston. Everybody's talking about him and sick him.
Did you get a chance to take a picture in front of the national championship trophy, or were you able to even get there?
No, I was working.
That's what I thought. Okay, thanks a lot, John. John
Thank
McClain.
you, guys.
I was given a note on the direct message from Sikkim 365 that they ended up with like 300 or so people, obviously in a very crowded room. This is from the Downtown Athletic or Rotary Club that hosted Scott Drew today.
I have a couple things. It wasn't worth asking John about because they're different teams, and he might have some insight, but what are your thoughts on a couple of these Baylor NFL-related stories? Denzel Mims apparently on the bubble.
Yeah, I saw
making
that.
the team with the New York Jets.
Another
he's running
Baylor
with the threes.
Wide receiver who big and strong, fast and dominant.
But a lack of confidence in a major way, at least up until the end of his last year. He actually did start to buy in. Matt Rhoades was a big part of that. And, he had some good moments after that. But, yeah, I mean, here was a guy who was drafted relatively highly. And, they've had 3 head coaches since Art Briles, and he was by far coached a lot more by Matt Rhule's staff than he was by Art Briles' staff, just based on the timing of everything. And had a good buzz, and now I don't know what's going on in New York. I know he had missed some time last year with like a hamstring or whatever the case may be, but yeah, it's adding up to the point now where he's on the bubble.
Well, the good news is for all former Matt Rhule players, he gives them a soft landing spot, and he knows them. I mean, and especially early on in his career. And again, if you take a flyer on a guy who was a second-round pick last year, that's probably not a bad deal. And Sam Darnold worked with him last year and is in Carolina, so I would almost bet that would happen if Denzel Mims does not make the Jets. Although they still have 3 weeks before that happens. He needs to start playing better. But I was reading, he's running with the threes.
Yeah, and the Panthers have some pretty good wide receivers, so he's not cracking that lineup. Maybe as a depth guy, like he said. But yeah, and also every former Baylor player can't rely on Matt Rhule wanting them on the Panthers. You know, there's so many other players there. But another note, it's a name we haven't heard in a long time, it seems like, but another Baylor wide receiver, Jalen Hurd. Obviously missed his rookie year with a back injury, missed his second season for the most part with a knee injury, and apparently is missing practices again with the 49ers. Mike Shanahan said that Hurd is also fighting for a roster spot. I know he's battling back from a serious injury. We know the potential that he has and the upside and how much we think he can help us, but he's got to show that, and there's not a lot of time left. We want to be smart with him. I know some things were bothering him today. We were smart with him, but hopefully he can get into a groove where he has a chance to go out there and play some football and give himself a chance to make this team. So, Yeah, there's a little update on Jalen Hurd as well. The Baylor receiver curse, I suppose.
You can't make the team if you don't practice.
You
just can't.
Yeah, exactly right.
And that's been his deal. And so I hope he gets healthy. And it doesn't look – and the 49ers have spent time drafting lots of skill play. They have lots of running backs and wide receivers and young ones. And, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him get caught up in the shuffle. But, if he can stay healthy, there's a place for him in the NFL. But he's not been healthy.
By the way, on the Denzel Mims story, this is thanks to someone in the chat room alerted me to this. Matt O'Leary covers the Jets. The Jets are not cutting or trading Denzel Mims. In fact, he will be on the opening day roster. Then there's a couple of videos of him making plays at practice. So hopefully that's the case. And head coach Robert Saleh shutting down any noise, saying he's been running with the ones and that he knew the media was going to ask about this, so he went at that pretty quickly.
Good. Yeah, I hadn't seen the follow-up to it, so I'm glad to see that, I guess that was today they commented on it. So good. So. Yeah, I mean, that's great news for Denzel then, because I saw that yesterday and stowed it away, and I was just like, golly.
Yeah, I know.
Man, poor kid. And so, no, I'm relieved to hear that. I do have one more note, and I know we got to go, but this is boxing related, and I would have had this in Off the Radar, but by the time Thursday rolls around, it will be a bit outdated. But one of the bigger fights coming up, and look, those are few and far between in boxing, quite honestly. I mean, there's maybe 4 a year that are like super, hyped fights. But Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence, and this is relevant to us because Errol Spence is a big-time Dallas guy. Dallas born and bred, and a heck of a boxer, the current IBF and WBC champion. Well, Spence Jr. has had to withdraw from his fight with Pacquiao, tore the retina in his left eye. So, that's been announced, and now Pacquiao will face Yordenis Ugas. I don't know if I'm saying that right, in Las Vegas, but, man, Spence Jr. he's legit. He's really legit, and, man, that sounds like an awfully painful injury, so good luck to the Dallas native.
Yeah, detached retina.
And that's a big fight loss, too. Whether or not Pacquiao's washed at this point, he's still got the name and the money, and the value, but, that's unfortunate.
One quick note, local note, the Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium where Baylor plays their football games. Last call before football season for a complimentary admission for non-members and guests at the Baylor Club, 5:30 to 8 tonight, club level on 2C. It's a kickoff-style type event. Initiation fee reduced from $500 to $50, $0 in dues in August and September. And so you could go by the Baylor Club. That's going on tonight from 5:30 to 8:30 at the Baylor Club inside, 5:30 to 8 tonight inside the Baylor Club at McLean Stadium.
And legitimately, last note from me, former Baylor track and field head coach Todd Harbour has been announced as a new member of the Texas Track and Field Hall of Fame. So Todd Harbour will be going to the Texas Track and Field Hall of Fame. Don't think that's much of a surprise.
Lando 7448 on the chat room. Spence's body has not recovered from that car accident. Thanks for the
that was a bad
room.
Accident too. And you're right. Yeah, that was really unfortunate. And yeah, you wonder how much that changes the trajectory, because the trajectory was just nothing but vertical before all that, and now it's a little more questionable.
When we come back, Paul Catalina's Top 5, Sikkim 365 Radio. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans. They have all the great names of cigars, all the elite brands you could ever want anywhere in the world, and they're inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor. Artur Fuente and Ashton Macanudo. Romeo and Julieta, My Father, Padron, Cohiba, Oliva, Rocky Patel, all inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor, along with the pipes and tobaccos and the pipe accessories they have as well. I remember back when I was a kid, my grandfather on occasion would light up a cigar, not a cigar, he'd light up a pipe, and it was always smelled. That aroma was amazing. And if you walk inside Don Humidor and Coffee Beans, because they have the coffee beans aroma, they'll fresh ground coffee beans right in front of you. The Cowboys, a very popular flavor and taste. And then, of course, I've told you about Vita Dreams. It's a CBD product. It's a gummy. You take a little bit of one, which one you want, a little bite of it. You take the whole gummy. If you do struggle at night, falling asleep because your mind is always racing or something's going on, you take a little bit of a nibble of a gummy or a gummy. and the next thing you know, you have fallen asleep, and get a full night's sleep and maybe save 30 minutes or an hour of sleep other than tossing and turning. And finally, you pass out because you're so tired. Dunn, Humidor, and Coffee Beans tell Cheyenne, Ashley, and Carol that David Smoak sent you in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist's office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Escape the mundane with the responsive power and exhilarating agility of a new Cadillac from Richard Carr Cadillac. Smile behind the wheel again in the supercharged sophistication of a CT4 or CT5 sedan, or the sporty and spacious XT4, XT5, or XT6 lineup of SUVs. Starting at only $33,395, the Cadillac of your dreams is waiting now at an affordable price at Richard Carr. Test drive from the expansive selection at Richard Carr Cadillac, or let us bring a test drive to you. Go to richardcarcadillac.com to schedule a test drive today.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment, and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55. Presented by Slapsticks Comedy Club. For ticket information, go to slapstickscomedy.com.
I'll be doing stand-up on Saturday at 9:15, but great shows this weekend long. Paul Varghese coming in, great comic out of Dallas. Really love him, so book him up Friday and Saturday. He's the headliner this weekend, so come out to Slapsticks Comedy Club and see him. All right, top 5 best new matchups in the SEC. Look, I've been very negative about this, and I will probably continue to be, but if we're going to if this is a new reality, let's talk about some of the good things that are going to come out of it. So these are the best 5 to me. Feel free to debate me. I'm not always right, but most of the time. Number 5, Oklahoma versus LSU. I can't wait to see this one more often than not. I think it'll be a great one. I think it's going to be a great budding rivalry.
I sure hope it's better than the game 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't a great game by any stretch of the imagination. But, yeah, I think Oklahoma and LSU will be a real fun one. I mean, LSU's had their number. Beat them in the national title game back in, I believe that was 2003, when Oklahoma had what at the time was arguably the greatest college football team of all time, if you'll remember that hype that they had with Jason White and all that. And then LSU upset them in a very defensive game, a low-scoring game of what was the final, like 21-14.
Yeah.
And that really, Oklahoma had won the title in 2000, but LSU then just, if LSU doesn't beat them in that title game and Oklahoma wins what would have been their 8th title, and they would have had 2 under Stoops in like 4 years' time, maybe they win a couple more of the other ones they appeared in as a result of that. But instead, they've just gone over for they're like, 0-4, 0-5 in their last, few championship appearances. So, yeah, just a little history there between those two. And, yeah, I think that'll be a great matchup, Oklahoma-LSU.
All right, number 4, and this is a game that I will not be able to watch without getting queasy, but Texas and Florida, both these schools kind of have similar attitudes about themselves in good and bad ways, but I think this one will be a good one, and especially since these are both the University ofs in the state.
Yeah, Arrogance Bowl? Is that a good name for it?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
You hate both of them?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be tough. It would be tough.
No, I think it's cool. Just seeing that graphic, I've never seen Florida versus Texas like that.
See, and I think that's good for college football.
Yeah.
The new, there's some tradition-rich rivalries that are fantastic, but there's got to be so many more options, and maybe this is going to create some.
Yeah, I don't know the last time. I can find out quickly, but I don't think I've ever seen Texas and Florida playing football, much less seen them in a graphic like that. So, yeah, 2 very similar schools as far as their stature within their own states.
They may not play for 10 years, though.
Yeah, that's the thing is when do they play? It's 2 football hotbeds, so I'm sure there will be some Florida athlete versus Texas athlete trash talking. Yeah, that'll be fantastic.
Yeah. Other than the fact that, I'll feel like there's spiders all over me while it's on the air.
Good news is, Paul, somebody will have to lose that game.
Yeah. Probably not the one I'll need to.
What would you rather do? Get dressed up for Halloween, go to a parade, watch fireworks, which you've already slipped on that.
Yeah.
Or root for one of those 2 teams?
I'd rather go to a parade. I'd rather go to a parade.
So they've played 3 times. They played in 1940 in Gainesville. Texas won that 26-0. They played in 1939 in Austin. Texas won 12-0. And then in 1924.
So they haven't played in almost 100.
Yeah, so 24-39. Yeah, they haven't played since 1940.
Wow.
Texas 2 wins for Texas. 1 tie.
Hitler was still in power when they last played.
Yeah. He's rising to power.
Yeah.
He's about to really have some power. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Number 3, Oklahoma versus Georgia. This one I'm going to love. Yeah, I played recently too.
Great game.
Yeah. I think great game. And
you had a huge lead at halftime, didn't they?
Yeah. And I think this one is going to be one of those. And look, as Florida and Texas are similar, in my mind at least a little bit. Now, granted, Georgia does not have near the history of Oklahoma, but it is the smaller state to the north of the bigger football state. And so there's that kind of vibe where that's together. And Georgia has got it rolling now where they're very, very good every year. They just have not broken through. And, of course, they haven't won a national championship since Herschel Walker played for them. So
they were on that list of teams that seem like they always underperformed with who they were or what the expectations.
They perform at a high level, but they don't win ultimately what matters, and that's national titles. But do you remember the other game other than the playoff game that they played in? No, you can't because they've only played one time.
Okay,
That was it. That was the only time they've ever played was a 54-48. I guess the SEC defenses were gone that day or something, but that was a high-powered game. And Oklahoma, high-power they got outpowered by the Bulldogs that day.
Yeah. Number 2, Texas versus LSU. Look, A&M
saw that recently.
Yeah, we saw it recently. It was really good. A&M and LSU is a great new SEC. Well, they were rivals before the SEC and didn't play for a long time. So I have no reason to think that Texas and LSU also won't be a fantastic rivalry. And look, I did intentionally leave out OU and A&M, Texas and A&M, and Texas and Arkansas off this list because we know that those were good rivalry. Like, we know that those worked. It wasn't a good rivalry, OU and A&M, but Texas and A&M is an all-time rivalry. Texas and Arkansas was an all-time rivalry back in the day, so I left those out. But I think this one, Texas and LSU.
Texas has a 9-8 lead in the series. They played 18 times. It was a tie. We know the last time they played was Joey Burrow, and they went down to Austin, had a huge fourth down completion, and just how they had too much that day, although Texas played them straight up. And that's one of the things I've talked about when people have mentioned UT and the SEC. Yeah, this could be a struggle at times, but some of their best games, even when they've been average for a decade, have been against the bigger name teams. It's almost like that gets them juiced up. I'm not saying they win a lot of them, but they also have had preparation time for some of those games as well.
You're right. Like the bowl game, you got a whole month to prepare. And, I remember what the Georgia fans were saying about that game a couple years ago. But you're also now not doing it on occasion. You're doing it almost every single week. So there's a major difference there. If they can find that once, every big game magic and actually do it consistently, then Texas would be the program that they act like. And I don't mean that as a negative. It's just that they would have more actions to back up their words if they performed like that. So we'll see. Maybe they get juiced up for all these now. I don't know. Maybe the Big 12 is just boring. Who knows?
Yeah. And number 1, of course, this is obvious. This is the one that everyone wants to see all the time. It's going to be Oklahoma and Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one you'd want to see as much as these new things. But, I can't imagine. And look, even if this was just a cross-conference rivalry on like a 4-year home deal, I would be excited for this. So, I mean, this is great no matter what. I mean, in OU and Alabama playing each other, again, that's Ohio State and Notre Dame. There's only
6 times.
Yeah, there's only so many times, like so many matchups like this that are so great that you'd want to watch them anytime.
They've played 6 times. 6 times. Oklahoma's won 3. Alabama's won the last one in 2018. They had 1 tie as well.
That's a combined 25 national championships, although Alabama's 18. I'm sure there's probably like a couple of UPIs in there. I don't know that to be sure or not, but Alabama's like the runaway national champion of champions, and Oklahoma, I think did Ohio State pass them with 8 the last time they won one? They're right there neck and neck. I do know that. So Ohio State either has 7 or 8, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't get too. You can't really find 2 programs with much more history in college football than Alabama and Oklahoma. Like that's 2 of the. I mean, there's blue bloods and then there's like blue bloods, and I'd say Alabama and Oklahoma are both in that category. So yeah, that'll be a great game. That Sugar Bowl with Trevor Knight was a memorable contest several years ago, and yeah.
All right, thanks to Hayden, thanks to A-Rob, thanks of course to Jack and Armstrong Sims. We're a couple of different things. Baylor's got a media session today that was not scheduled at 6:20 or 6:30. We're going to be at that. We'll have that up on the site. Jack's been doing that with the video as well from earlier this afternoon. And back at it again tomorrow. So thanks to all of you, the text message, the calls, the chat on the YouTube 365 Sports. Thank you. For Paul Catalina, for Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak, and all of our amazing sponsors that allow us to do this every day. Good night, Sikkim 365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.